Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Hello and welcome to PUBG Mobile Club Open. This is the Spring Split Pakistan Regional Finals that we're stepping into, and of course, it is all thanks to Reno 5 Pro. I'm going to be your host as caster Blotter, and joining me is none other than Super Johnny. Dude, how excited do you feel for?
I mean, I'm super excited because now, as you said, we are moving forward in the regional finals, and well, joining the teams that have qualified from the group stages, there are going to be some new faces. I mean, new faces that are old faces.
True, exactly, because we're talking about those invited teams, and those 5 invited teams are certainly going to be dominating, well, not necessarily, but certainly going to be, well, creating a bit of a havoc when it comes to the lobby of 16 teams that will, of course, be moving on along. But talking about the entire journey, all of these teams are, of course, working towards that final destination, and that final destination is going to lead them towards PMPL Season 3 indeed. And to get that slot, they are going to have to, well, work it out.
Well, they will have to work it out in these finals. And as we do see, we do have 3 slots from Pakistan that will be moving forward to PMPL South Asia Season 3, along with the invited teams, of course. So now, in these finals, only the top 3 matters.
Absolutely. Only the top 3 are going to be determined, and those are the ones that will move on along to, of course, represent the country. And that is going to be a huge undertaking as well. Because again, I mean, you talk about the previous 6 days throughout the group stages. They were phenomenal, of course, but now the level, the ladder has increased quite a lot in terms of course, domination that's expected, in terms of the gameplay that's expected. And along with that, of course, you've given away so much of the information towards the entire lobby that now you're going to have to be that much more careful as to, well, your drop locations, your fights, your initial fights, and how you progress along from one game to the other.
Exactly, you will have to be careful. And also, I mean, the new teams, the invited teams that we're talking about, even though they come in with a huge reputation that they have to hold up to, they are coming in with changes themselves. So talk about information being given away. If you review their old demos, well, they're not going to be any useful now.
Absolutely, because again, they'll be bringing in a dynamic play throughout the next 5 days. With that, of course, let's also talk about the prize pool indeed, where you're looking at a massive $29,200 being segregated amongst all the teams, but eventually it'll all fall back on towards the first, second, third, because that is where the journey for PMPL Season 3 will begin. Yeah,
the pole position finish, that is what you want. And you will get some money even if you finish out of the top 3, but your journey is going to be over right then and there if you fail to finish and fail to qualify for PMPL Season 3.
Absolutely, and in that doing so, you're going to have to, well, stack up those points. Even if you're not able to get a chicken dinner, what we've seen throughout the group stages is, of course, you need to be getting those kill points, because every kill is going to be bringing in that 1 point, and that is going to be so very crucial and very essential. Yeah,
exactly. Kill points matter for a lot, and if you can get those kills consistently, then, well, you're on your way already. Then it's just a matter of fact, like, can you finish inside of the top 3, inside of the top 4? That is something that we look at, consistency based on kills in every single game, but also based on positions in every single match.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, let's also talk about the teams that are, of course, going to be witnessed in the next 5 days. And starting off, of course, we are looking at the team of Team F4, followed by Magnus Esports, Portal Esports, and North Esports. Till now, they've had a really good outing thus far, and now, of course, the journey is going to get reshuffled, because the leaderboard is going to go back to square 0, and we shall have to see what is going to be defined.
Yeah, we're going to see how things change for these lads. I mean, it is going to, there are a lot of interesting storylines, as we did see FreeStyle with Tyrant, his old team, Team Bablu, coming in. And talk about the invited teams, that is where we start off. Team Bablu is going to come in, Regicide, they're going to be here, 247 Gaming, Stalwart Flex Esports is going to be there, and R3D, the last team.
Absolutely, and these are, of course, the 5 invited teams that are joining into the lobby as well. And, of course, the kind of gameplay that we've seen from all of them teams, you know that annihilation and domination is what we need to expect from the lobby as we get started off with, of course, the regional finals. But in that doing so, all the previous teams that have moved along, right, from the group stages itself, have showcased that domination. Now, of course, all the thing that remains is for them to just continue along with that. And to do so, of course, we are talking about the schedule, where indeed you're looking at 4 back-to-back games starting off from Erangel, move on into Sanhok, followed by Miramar, and then finally, to close the day off, we will be coming back to Erangel.
Yeah, so the same maps that we saw during the group stages, but this time, instead of having 6 days and rotating in groups to play every single day, this time it's just the 16 teams, and these 16 teams will be playing for the next 5 days straight. So that is 20 games in total for these finals. 20 games, 20 opportunities for you to establish yourself within the top 3 and make your way into the PMPL South Asia.
Absolutely, and talking about dominating plays that we've seen throughout group stages, we know Portal Esports, a very well-known game and name, of course, has been showcasing that wonderful prowess and wonderful synergy amongst the team itself. But as you move on along, Magnus is not that far behind. But in all of those names, when you then add on these invited teams, now being invited itself brings up a little bit of a different level of gameplay, a different level of competition that's expected from the entire lobby.
I think we are going to witness that as soon as the game starts. But Portal Esports, Magnus, they have gone up against these invited teams in the past as well. So that makes things a lot more interesting. They're basically on the same level, but the difference is that the teams that are invited, the reason they performed better in the previous season, they were slightly better in those team fights. They were slightly more consistent. It was just a minute difference between the lads. And now with the way Magnus and Portal Esports have been performing, I think it's just gonna be incredible to see them in action against the opponents again.
Oh yes, and again, what I'm going to be looking forward to is when it comes to these teams that of course have moved on from the group into the regional itself, how exactly are they going to be coping with this annihilation that's brought in by the invitational teams themselves? Because again, I mean, all the other teams, they know their drop locations, they've been playing amongst each other with groups stages itself 6 days continuous, but all that information that was relayed then will probably have to now change a bit. You know, there needs to be a little bit of twist to make it that much more dynamic, and with that, the Erangel map is ready. So let's quickly move on along and find out where the flight path is going to be leading these teams towards.
Exactly, and the flight path, though, it starts from the northeastern side of Yasnaya Polyana, between Yasnaya and Kameshki, and goes right through the military base to the southern point of the military island. So this trajectory entirely leans toward the eastern side of the map. That means reaching to the western parts is going to be a little bit tricky. You can go to Pochinki, but any further than that, you're going to have to drop down a little bit earlier on, take a vehicle for yourself and your teammates, and then move out. If you want to go to Georgopol Hospital, the containers on Georgopol, if you want to go to Gatka, Ferry Pier, Primorsk, because those are some safe drops that teams usually like to go to. But let's see how this one turns out, and I want to see where the cluster of teams is going to form based on how the circle, what circle we're going to get in this match.
Absolutely, with that right off the bat, we're looking at F4 Wolverine, the team that has, of course, still now in the group stages moved on towards the side of Lipovka as their drop, and that is what they're sticking to. Along the other side, of course, you look at StarX on the top northern side of the game itself, which is seemingly going towards their drop location, which has mostly been Saverny as of now. But move on down towards the south, towards the military base. Zarar and FS seem to be sticking around towards the military base, and along with that, we have another team right behind them.
Well, definitely the teams are behind them, but are the teams going to clash? So there's a massive cluster of teams on the eastern side of the map, as we do see Regicide along with Magnus moving towards the Milta City and the Milta Power area. Portal Esports dropping down towards Shelter, and well, F4, they have taken the position of Lipovka, but oh my lord, this circle being split on the main island and the military island, it's going to be quite tricky for the teams to tackle during the later stages, because now if you actually decide to stick on the military island for a really long time, your rotation to the main island, I mean the cross that you have to make on that bridge, that is going to be a troublesome situation, and it's going to be super annoying once you get bridge camped.
Absolutely, and in that, I mean, you look at Venom, who is now moving away from the military in towards the side of Southern Farm region itself, because it seems like there was a little bit of miscommunication within the team, as all the other players have already dropped down towards the southern part of that farm region as well. Now, look, again, talking about early contestation, we do have F4 that is all segregated towards the side of Lipovka and southern of Mansion. We've got Portal Esports that is very close to them, but again, as of now, there does not seem to be a lot of early contestation, apart from, of course, as you move on down towards the Rozhok area, where R3D and NES are not that separated, actually.
Well, they're not that separated. Also, it was really interesting to see how the grounders were actually taking the chasing the players of NFP. I mean, it looked like they were going for a chase, because the opponents were still in the air. They were still on their parachutes, just looking for a place to land. And, well, the team TG, the grounders, they have managed to find themselves some vehicles. So they can potentially just go after them if they find even a single weapon amongst the entire squad, and just pick off 1 or 2 players from the opposing side as soon as they land, or even they can try going for them before they land. Alright, the grounders actually found some boats for themselves. That means there's a high chance that they won't have any weapons right now.
Well, they seem to be taking an early water rotation, and this seems to be quite an interesting turn of events for the side of Team Grounder indeed. But as they move on towards their final destination, that is what we're going to have to keep our eyes open for, because again, I mean, based on where they end up going towards, if at all there would be another team that could very well bring trouble towards the side of Team Grounders right off the bat in the first game itself. with that, move towards the side of TUF Thor. They are, of course, setting themselves up perfectly right now and going to be moving on towards getting the best of the best loot, because again, there aren't many teams around the region that TUF have dropped down for now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, TUF, they are completely isolated, no one quite close to them, as you said, and that allows the team a lot of breathing space. These early stages, they're going to be in a comfortable position. They can look for whatever loot they want, spread out, like divided amongst themselves however they want it, and they can do it like based on when they decide to do it. So the timing of things, it's going to be in their favor. But trouble rises in the fact that if you want to rotate early into the circle, then you're going to have to move really fast, because now since this is a western circle and the trajectory of the plane was on the eastern side of the map, a lot of the teams are going to be clashing. Their rotation times basically are going to be clashing with each other, and that means we're going to have a lot of fights happening as soon as the team starts to move out. So second to third circle transitions, I mean, it's going to be chaos.
Absolutely. And talking about NES, which is going to be North Esports, they have chosen their, well, default setup, which is going to be going down to a school region. And again, talking about Zarar is what I'm wanting to keep my eyes open for, because Zarar, we've seen, ends up going for really late rotation. When it came to their drop in this map, they were down towards the southern part, towards the military base, towards the eastern side of the military base, all set up by themselves, and they were outside the region as well, outside the circle as well. So again, based on their group stages performance, as I said, they do end up working towards the final late rotations. Yep. Again, as they do so, Johnny, today, there could be a lot of trouble for them, because so many of these teams are already getting themselves working towards the circle, as we clearly see.
Well, definitely, and that is something that I think everyone needs to work towards right now, because once again, eastern trajectory, western circle, that means there will be a lot of trouble. You have to think about the future in this map. Also, the players of R3D, they could be in a comfortable position. I mean, had an entire city for themselves to loot in, so they will have really good loot, but they need to be careful as to how much utility are they carrying with themselves, because if they get stuck in open area fights, which happens quite often when you have western circles in the game. I mean, the Gatka query area, it's quite open, not enough cover for everyone to stay behind in. So you have a lot of fights breaking out in the open, and those times smokes, they are going to be your best friends. But Regicide in front of us look like they're chasing the players of Portal Esports. Portal Esports, they're on the other side of the mountain. So if Regicide actually move to the high ground, then we might have a collision. All right, Portal Esports taking some damage on them. Were the shots fired from Nocto, or was it someone else?
Well, it seemed like they just banged in towards the tree itself and got themselves a little bit of damage right off the bat. Or maybe it was just the audio cues that they heard from the side of R3G right here. And of course, they heard that buggy coming towards them. And of course, maybe that is what resulted in distraction of a little bit. But again, Portal Esports is going to be able to walk away, or rather run away from that situation quite comfortably, because R3G has decided to slowly move on towards the circle. They are in the circle, and now they're going to be confirming the kind of loot that they've got. And again, being in the small little squad house itself, they're probably going to also want to work towards utilizing the opportunity to start distributing whatever they've got on themselves. And talk about NFP right now, this is going to be interesting, because Portal Esports, that we just noticed, has moved towards this region, and NFP is right across this mountain for now.
Yeah, Kashuf was the one who was dropped out low, but stopping over here, he will have the opportunity to use a first aid, or maybe just use a couple of bandages to heal up and bring himself back up to 75% HP. If he can get some boosters on him, then, well, he'll be at 100% in just a matter of time. But these early stages of this map, they're going to be really, really slow paced, so I don't think we're going to see any action for the next couple of minutes as well, up until the 15-minute mark, when the teams are going to be forced to fight it out once they reach the open parts of the map. So NFP are camping the military bridge right now. They have managed to make their way on towards the lighthouse. That is where Ash is right now, and his teammates are on the houses on the other side of the street. That means if any team decides to cross the military bridge, either right at this very moment in the next few minutes, NFP is going to have a massive advantage if the fight breaks out, because they have 3 positions where they're going to attack you from, 2 flanks and 1 right down the middle.
Exactly, and that is going to work out perfectly for them. And along with that, of course, we look at Healthy right here, who has gotten himself a boat, which is, of course, going to be working for their favor as well, because when it comes to those rotations, perhaps they could very well utilize the boat to get into the region as well, because right now, the only thing that is stopping them, well, they are in a very good spot. They've got the circle working for them, and they've got that bridge set up perfectly set up for themselves. And again, if at all there would be any other team that would contest, they are going to be ready to backfire that approach. But talking about Team Bablu, they are moving up up from north towards the side of Georgiapol and making that rotation towards Ruins, but not that far behind is going to be StarX right next to them. Now that also could turn into an interesting turn of events, because right now, if at all Bablu in their rotation ends up deciding to stop in towards Ruins, Star is going to be following through the exact same rotation.
And see, that's the interesting thing, because Bablu always does that. They always drop at a mid. So Bablu has this habit of dropping towards the northern Georgia pole, and one guy is going to split and drop towards containers. They're going to loot. They go for a super late rotation, and they are going to stop at one of the major cities on the edges of the circle, which right now was Ruins, but they keep going. This is quite interesting. So now they are it looks like they're heading towards the middle of Pochinki, and well, we have two squads that can potentially sandwich them right there. So they have to be extra careful, but being inside the circle, it allows them the opportunity. And also right now, just notice it was the squad of NES right behind them, so that is the reason why they did not stop in Ruins.
Wow, that was just 3 teams rotating right next to each other. Of course, Star is the one at the bottom end. It is of course followed by NES, and it is in front. That is going to be Bablu. Now Bablu, the way they've made their region, well, made their rotation in towards the side of Pochinki, they've got H2E that is set up right there, R3D that is also set up right there, and along with which we also see the circle moving towards the northern side. So now we've got School, Farm and Pochinki kind of towards the center, and pretty much all the teams apart from of course Zarar as mentioned earlier, as well as the Grounders, that are working towards that late rotation. Now in that doing so, NFP is going to be able to capitalize on the situation perfectly if they decide to keep themselves set up on that bridge point.
But I mean, Zarar and the Grounders, they are, it feels like they're in the comfort zone right now. Zarar just sticking towards Novo Rep Noise still. I mean, even though the blue zone is coming in, and in 30 seconds the second blue zone is going to start to kick in as well, and the Grounders sticking towards the Ferry Pier area. So these teams, they are going for even later rotations. They're going to move in along with the second blue zone. But so far, I mean, NFP, they have managed to get themselves in a comfortable position, but they need to be extra careful since the positions of the team Regicide, look at that on the map, quite close to them. NFP need to be careful. They need to pick this fight really carefully, otherwise they're going to be in so much trouble. But FS Vegeta was taken down by one of the players from R3D.
Oh boy, R3D certainly looking in control of this hill, and that is perfect. They've got the information, early information towards the side of NFP, as well as working towards the side of FreeStyle. Now FreeStyle already has that one knock, and this is Shaw from R3D working towards confirming that knock into 1 point and confirm that kill for himself. Of course, now the conversation would be FreeStyle is trying to retaliate, but they're not able to do so as of now.
Well, they are not able to do so, and that is the reason. I mean, they were out in the open. R3D had all the information as to how they want to take this fight. But look at this, Team Bablu coming in from the rear as well. FS could be in some trouble. Well, Regicide, they decide to take a step back. They pick off one player, they knock out one player, and then since the distance is a little bit too much, they can't charge in. But on the other side, Zarar taking on the players of Stalwart Flex, and well, it's quite an interesting fight. The team has been reduced to, I think, just one player right now. That is going to be Crypto, and Zarar Esports Professor is the man taking the charge.
Absolutely, Professor, we've seen so many times again and again bring in that early domination and aggression for his team, but also that early retaliation ends up getting a bit well, it gets going against his favor as well many times, because again, right now it's not only him and Flex that is on that bridge. There are so many other crosshairs that are of course going to be working towards that bridge area as well. Now move the conversation towards R3G. We are looking at themselves setting up against the rotation of NFP. They did get that early information. Right now we saw them take that early fight towards the side of FS, but now they are probably going to be contesting that rotation from the side of NFP for now.
Alright, so has a K9 in hand. Zigzag is looking for Crypto to peek from behind the truck so that he can take that shot. He's just being really careful. Professor from the other side. Crypto is basically pinned down really badly behind that truck, and Myth is going to use this opportunity to charge, and Crypto, he's cooking up a nade, tosses it out, but it's not going to do enough damage. Myth, he's going to get peeked up on, and Crypto is going to be dropped down to really low HP, and oh, he's still surviving. He takes down one. He can take down Myth as well. He's going for the finish, but it is a 1v4 situation. Oh, his feet were spotted, and Myth just realizing that he can take him down by shooting him in the toes.
Wow, what a perfect play from Myth indeed. But again, you talk about that aggression coming in, that one player was able to bridge camp from the side of Flex towards the side of Zarar, and Zarar have 2 of their players knocked down as of now, and of course Professor is there to be able to, well, give them that revival, but second circle is on them, so they better hurry up and get themselves out of that rotation, because otherwise the circle is going to be damaging them quite a lot. Now moving towards the circle itself, it seems to have taken a right. Western eastern shift perhaps, and has moved themselves towards the side of farm, but move the conversation towards Magnus and 247. Now they are in a perfect setup right here, and 247 seem to be in a bit of a pickle because they have themselves set up in just that small little compound. But along with that, Messi from 247 confirming that one kill, but along with that they also have taken a lot of damage. That is going to be from 247 side.
Well, it's I was just gonna say it's 3 versus 4 situation, but Regicide out of nowhere take down one more player from the side of Magnus, and well, Joker is gonna get the kill confirmed. So from 3 versus 4, it just got turned into a 2 versus 4. Not a situation Magnus thought they would find themselves in, but look at this, Zarbaf, I'm sorry, how precise with the DP, manages to dish out a little bit of damage on Venom from the side of TUF, but in doing so has given away the information about where he exactly was to the players of Regicide. And now Regicide know there are 2 teams in here. One of them has lost a few individual players and the other one is still sitting with a 4-man squad. They're not going to charge in. They're going to wait. They're going to wait for the gunshots in this fight to actually just fizzle out until there are no more gunshots, because that's going to mean that it's just one team that that is surviving, and then they're going to try and pick off this fight. Until then, they're just going to keep their eyes on these houses just to see if anyone gets out of position, if anyone gets exposed, they're going to punish them really hard.
Most certainly will be looking forward to doing so, but along with that, we talk about Magnus. They are in a bit of a tickle because after all, they have themselves set up on that first floor, and just a perfect Molotov and grenade is going to be able to compromise that position, and they are going to have to suffer towards the side of 247. But 247 seem to be wanting to take 2 individual fights, which is of course in the same compound towards the side of Magnus, but alongside that, on the far end, they are also trying to block the rotation from the side of TUF, and TUF is also not looking too good because they need to make that rotation, as they seem to be very close to the edge of that circle for now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they are right on the very edge, and that is what 247 is waiting for. They're waiting for them to push, and they're waiting for them to get a little impatient, and then they're going to get punished. But look at this on the other side. Portal Esports versus NFPSKY. Hater is going to take down Sneak. It's a 2-for-1 trade, but what just happened? Sky Hater takes down another one, drops the third player really low. He drops down the third one. This man is just about to pull off a 1v4, and he hasn't lost any HP in these engagements. They lost 2 players, but Sky Hater, well, he hates losing even more than he hates the Sky itself. Motu from the side of Portal Esports is the last man surviving. He's going to be spotted out, but Sky Hater, he goes behind the cover. He's being extra careful. Both the players cooking up the nades. The nade is going to be tossed in. Motu steps out right in the nick of time. Is he going to be taken out? Is this a 1v4 that we are going to see? And, well, he does have 3 kills confirmed. And I think so. I think, all right. So the 4th kill got taken away by the players of FS. Portal Esports, they get eliminated, but now Sky Hater, his job is not done. He has to pull off another 1v4 now. Absolutely,
and he seems to be certainly set up in a very tricky situation because, of course, the way FS is approaching this, they are wanting to dominate all 3 of them together along with a flank approach coming in from the other player. But again, along with that, perhaps this kill will be confirmed, but NFP could very well retaliate because they're not that far behind from this compound. But that is not going to happen as of now, and FreeStyle, just a perfect approach towards this early aggression from them, and have been able to capitalize on that third party.
Well, the third party is going to come in, but look at this. Jut with the M4 manages to take down one of the players from the side of Regicide. Nocto, his position is given away. He just spotted all of them in the middle of their rotations. These guys are really exposed, and they do not seem to care at all.
Well, for now, this is working towards the side of 247. They already have 2 points confirmed with the 2 kills that they got earlier, and along with that, they are also wanting to work towards a confirmation of the team R3G being sent back into the lobby and get that 4 kills confirmed for them as well. They've got all the information, they've got their crosshairs set up perfectly towards the side, but along with that, they've not lost themselves towards TUF. They are taking once again 2 fights. That is from the side of course, 247.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and Magnus is still alive, so that is a pleasant surprise. They lost 2 players earlier on, I mean, a couple of minutes ago, but still, 2 players, they're hiding inside the first floor of that barn house, and they're still managing to stay alive. On the other side, though, I mean, we do see some more action being brought to the guys of FS, FreeStyle. They have to be really careful because if you look at the map, their position, it can be quite tricky for them to tackle it. Oh, no. So Star Esports actually helped them out a little bit. They take down one of the players from the side of R3D. And, well, now FreeStyle are going to have a much more comfortable time in this situation. But Bablu from the res Beyond steps into the action. The domination is going to come in for the lad as he has 3 kills confirmed. And well, StarXOPS, they get eliminated from this game.
They certainly have been sent back into the lobby. Along with that, we talk about NFPSKY Esports. They will also be eliminating a lot of teams, but eventually will be going back. But you talk about this push coming in from the side of FS Tyrant. This was not a well-timed attack, and with that, they have themselves all in the open. They've given away the information, and R3D is not going to allow any of this to work towards FS.
Well, they had to take the fight right then and there, and they just did, taking down more players from the side of FS. Virus is the last player. Well, Virus and Joker, 2 players surviving for the side of R3D. A couple of seconds ago, they were like 4-man squad, 4-man strong, but now it's just 2 players, and they are out in the open. A couple of seconds more, the circle is not going to be there with them. They're going to have to force to move out. Before they move out, they might want to clear this area out so that no cheeky moments come into play from the side of FS. I mean, FS just laying down, waiting for them to move in. They start to move in, and then they get picked off. Zulker is going to be taken out, so 1 more kill confirmation coming in for the headed to the way of R3D, but they have to finish off Respect. If they can actually do that, then the rotation moving forward to the next circle is going to be a little bit easier.
For now, it certainly does seem so, because of course Zulker is on a very, very small little HP, and that boost is not going to be able to get him a revive from the side of Respect, because Respect is moving away from this fight, but is going to be working towards H2E's crosshairs. But talk about R3D, of course they were able to convert this fight in their favor, but as they make that rotation, Bablu is right above that hill, and with that move towards the side of 247, and Magnus were alive in this compound for the longest time, but not anymore, says 247. They were taking a fight towards TUF as well as Magnus. They brought down 2 players of Magnus and now eliminating the team. Sent back into the lobby. Conversation moves towards the side of course, Zarar and NES for now. Zarar have made that rotation, have moved in towards the side of North Esports, and of course are wanting to work themselves towards the circle, but as of now, it is NES spoiling that plan.
Yeah, I mean, NES just ending the fight before even Zarar had an opportunity to fire a shot, I think. Because, I mean, we saw the kill feed. It came in once and then it was all over. R3D Joker with the nade is going to take down 2 players from the side of Team Bablu. They're in so much trouble right now. R3D just absolutely showcasing a dominating performance with 2 players. But look at this. So TUF Venom spots out the players of Regicide in the middle of their rotation, and they're going to be picked off 1 by 1. Virus is going to secure the kill of the player that his teammate knocked out, and now, well, Team Bablu in a lot of trouble. They have 2 players still standing, 1 knocked out and 1 who has been completely finished off.
Absolutely, this was just a perfect utilization of information from the side of course R3G, and the nade that was brought in was just perfectly timed, and of course was able to break down 2 players of Bablu, even though Bablu had a perfect advantage of that hill working in their favor, but were not expecting that early aggression from the side of R3G, but move the conversation towards the side of Team Grounder. They still have all 4 men alive and are working that aggression towards the side of 247, as 247 we just saw left the compound and are making that rotation now. The Grounders, we've seen them perform really well. They got 2 back-to-back chicken dinners. Along with that, of course, the conversation now moves towards 9 teams remaining, 21 minutes into the game, and 5th circle already closing.
Well, 5th circle is here. Edgar was spotted out, and there's so much utility being tossed around by everyone. You see a player, you start spectating the player, he's probably tossing an 8, but 2-4-7-0. They were trying to move inside the circle. They were spotted out by the players of, well, TUF, and Edgar and his teammate did not miss a beat picking the players off. And it wasn't just them, it was the players of H2E as well. Both the teams were just ganging up on a team that was late in their rotation and were just trying to get away from the blue zone. That is why you gotta be super quick with these late game rotations, especially if you have a lot of teams surviving. Because if the areas get a little bit too cluttered up, you won't have any time to move, you won't have any space to move. You step up, you stop proning, you stand up on your feet, you're gonna be spotted out, you're gonna be shot at from multiple directions.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we're witnessing right here from the side of course, R3D, where one of their players is already knocked. Joker is down to, well, of course, he's using the first aid kit to get himself revived. But on the other side, will he be able to revive his own teammate? Because they're only a 2-man army as of now, and that is not looking good in their favor. But again, talk about Team Grounders. There is a lot of open fights happening in this situation, and in that, R3D loses Joker as well, and thus getting eliminated. Now, talking about 247, they had that early aggression towards the side of TUF. That has worked, well, ill-timed in their favor. Had they not given that information towards the side of TUF probably would not have been wanting to reverse that retaliation. And of course, they were working and already focusing, that is TUF, focusing their crosses towards where 247 was, and they will not, no matter what, they will not let that rivalry go away.
Exactly, as you said, they had the information for a really long time, and they utilized the information perfectly for themselves. Well, F4 Wolverine is going to try and shoot towards the players of Team Bablu. Oh no, they switch targets and now both F4 and Bablu just pin down the entire side of TUF. They're not going to stay alive for... I don't think they're going to stay alive at all. It's just one player surviving. They're going to be finished off. Well, they are finished off in fact.
Well, perfect play coming in from the side of Bablu Wolf, and indeed the way he's got himself set up, he's got two vehicles right next to him which have not exploded. A perfectly timed grenade is going to, of course, be annihilation for the side of Bablu indeed, but of course that is going to be a conversation for another time because right now there's no team around them to contest that area at all. You talk about F4, they once again are looking 4-man strong. NES only 2-man army as of now, and of course this turns into a 4v2 situation where indeed F4 could have the upper hand as the utilities being utilized are going to be working in their favor. The circle is certainly working in their favor. They've got the information towards the side of the NES and will not let them either rotate or get into the circle for now.
Well, Team F4, they might not have the kills for themselves, but they have the numbers. 4-man strong still in the final stages of the match. We're down to 4 teams. F4 with all the 4 players. Khan is going to be taken down in a minute. Oh, he goes crazy. Hipfire coming in, takes down 2 players, reduces a 2 versus 4 to a 2v2. Now, where Amir and Avenger OP, can they take on Destroyer and Zed? And that is going to be a really big question. Destroyer popping up the smokes to go for a revive on his teammates, but to the rescue of F4 comes H2E. They take down Avenger OP. Now, Amer is the last player surviving from North Esports. But if you can pull off a play like he just did a couple of seconds ago, I don't think F4 is going to be a big issue for him to deal with.
Absolutely. Right now, NESM are certainly getting his medkits and bandages working in his favor. But of course, he needs to step away from that position because he has already given away that position towards the side of F4. And F4 are working towards getting all 4 players working and alive and, of course, synergistic all together as one unit. Again, talk about Team Grounder. We've only got 4 teams remaining. We've got 2 players from H2E, 1 player from NES. We've got 4 players from, of course, F4 once again, and they have that information, of course, because NES decided to not move away from that position. He had already given that information away, and with that, of course, F4 utilizing and destructing Destroyer. Just perfect annihilation.
Yeah, perfect annihilation. I mean, the mistake was made and they were punished. Now it's down to 3 teams, H2E, the Grounders, and the 4-man squad F4. Hacker and Ati, they're going to try and toss some nades towards the location of where they think the team of the Grounders could potentially be. The nades are dishing out some damage, but the chip damage is not going to be enough to finish off any of the players unless they like run on top of the nades specifically. But this game, I mean, F4 in a comfortable position just because of them having the man advantage to them. The Grounders know where F4 is, F4 know where the Grounders are, and they know where the team of H2E is as well. But neither of these teams is going to risk it, standing up on their feet and taking the fight head on, unless one of them actually finishes off H2E first, because finishing off H2E is going to be key. They are the only outside element that can break this equilibrium between F4 and TG. If H2E are gone, then both the teams can do whatever they want. They can just stay proned out and just wait for the opposing team to make the mistake first.
Absolutely. We're looking at a 4v3v2 situation right here where, of course, F4 is 4-man strong, TG is 3-man strong, and on the other side, H2E, they are only a 2-man army. Talking about the Grounders, the approach that they've got is really perfect because they've got themselves fanned out. Even though it's just a 3-man squad, they have themselves fanned out. On the other side, of course, talk about F4, they are still pretty much in a bunch. So, if utilities are being utilized properly from the side of Team Grounders, or H2E for that matter as well, it could be the demise of F4. Again, numbers certainly always do work in your favor, but if you're not able to capitalize the situation and the squad information in your favor, then it could very well backfire for yourself.
Yeah, it can backfire, but is it going to? That is going to be a big question. Wolverine has a wonderful position to take on the players, to take on the team, in fact, the entire team of the Grounders. He's thrown out on the ground, does not have the backpack on him, but he needs to be really careful. It looks like the nade is perfectly lined up to take on the players of the Grounders, KSF, but he managed to survive. He was a little bit further away than he needed to be, and well, that is the reason he's surviving. Wolverine did not... well, he misjudged the distance between him and his opponent.
Exactly, and that rebound came in from the grenade hitting the ground itself, kind of helped in favor of TG as well. For now, of course, we see the triangular approach that TG is trying to apply, but F4 Wolverine certainly has the information not only on 1, but I believe 2 of those players. H2E, though, on the other side, keeping themselves almost on a snail pace, not wanting to move and not wanting to work towards any of these teams, but them sticking in that region itself is triangulating that position that much more easily for the side of the Grounders. And of course, Team Grounder is going to perhaps take that position, which is going to work in their favor. That is Honey and Upwell. But Wolverine had the information. He's brought down one player. He's also got the cover of that tree. And now F4 certainly have a much better advantage. It has turned into a 4v2v2 fight.
Yeah, it is an advantage situation for the squad of F4, and Wolverine just picking off one more player from the side of Grounders, backs off, but Hacker from the other side comes in, takes on Destroyer, finishes him off in an instant. It is a 3 versus 2 versus 2. If they can take on one more player from the side of F4, it's going to be a 2v2v2 situation.
Wow, this was not expected at all. Of course,
Yeah.
F4 Wolverine has a lot of information and he should be able to take these fights right now towards the side of Honey, but Honey also has the information and he's probably retaliated. But no, F4 Wolverine was on point and has been able to bring down the side of Honey, and with that, Team Grounder has been brought down. Wolverine just annihilating, dominating play from this lad, but now the conversation is, of course, 3v2, where indeed we've got 2 teams remaining. H2E still has those 2 players alive, and in that, F4, do they have the information? Of course, Wolverine was working towards the entirety of TG, has been able to work towards that and perfectly bring down the side of Team Grounders, but now F4 needs to slowly fan themselves and push on towards the side of H2E.
Well, definitely, but look at how much damage Wolverine took from the blue zone itself. So it's going to be really, really risky for you to just stay out of this circle at this point. It's the 9th circle, the final one, and whoever shoots first and the other guy takes damage from the blue zone is basically going to lose out. But H2E Hacker is going to be taken down. Khan with the Groza just being super deadly, and they actually finish off H2E. So, ladies and gentlemen, first match of the finals, and it is Team F4 who grab themselves the winner chicken dinner.
And with that, getting 7 kills in total, 100. Wow, this is perfect. 66 total damage and 22 points. That is just perfect play from the side of Team F4, and with that, they knock off a great start when it comes to the group stages itself. And I mean, again, you talk about the way group stages were, they had 2 chicken dinners then. You talk about regional, which is of course just day number 1 right now. They've started off with a wonderful pace, all 4 members alive till the end, and just perfect play from them.
Well, definitely. I mean, it is an amazing team. We have seen Wolverine before, we have seen Khan. He's an amazing IHL, so it's going to be really, really tricky to actually beat this team out if you give them a situation in which they have a clear advantage. Because F4, they were really smart about how they played this game. While all the other teams, they started to fight it out up until from the 3rd to the 4th circle. That's when the fight started breaking out. F4, they did not fight until it was like them with like within the top 5. They had 0 kills till that point, and they got all their kills in the final fight.
And that is so very crucial again, because you need to get that chicken dinner, and as you do so, you already get yourself a comfortable 15-point lead, along with which, if you get any more points through those kills, even better. With that, let's have a look at the most valuable player from today's game, and it is none other than H2E Arty with 4 kills, 715 damage. I mean, again, only 125 healing done, 3 assists through and through. That is a dominating play.
Yeah, so if he was seeing someone, they were just getting finished off and they did not have an opportunity to finish him. So I think an impressive performance overall.
Absolutely, that was a 2-man army indeed by the end of it, but were able to retaliate for the longest time that they could. Talking about top players indeed, we will see both the players in there from the side of H2E with 4 kills coming in towards RT. R3D Joker stepping in as well with 732 damage and a survival time of 2020. Not bad at all. H2E Hucker on that 3rd spot with 3 kills and 580 damage. And finally, it is a ball with 3 kills from Team Grounder.
Well, definitely an amazing performance. But then we have this, the match summary, where we do see the individual achievements of the players inside of the game. So, Ati with the highest kills, longest distance kill coming for Myth from Zarar Esports, Joker with the highest damage for this game overall. Then we have 2 players from the side of F4, Zedden and Wolverine, longest distance travel and maximum assist.
Boy, oh boy, this has turned into quite an aggressive start off the bat itself. With that, let's have a look at the match ranking itself, where indeed we know for a fact that Team F4 with those 7 kills have gotten themselves 22 points. A really good lead and a really good start. But talking about the other teams, they're not that far behind, because again, the kill department is very perfectly separated amongst all of them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is by far one of the most even games that we have seen. I mean, look at the second half of the standings as well. 2 for 7 Zarar, they were taken out 9th, 10th position there. That's where they're sitting right now. They have 4 kills, 2 kills, 3 kills, 2 kills. So this, everyone got an opportunity to get a few points for themselves. But Stalwart Flex, I mean, just being taken out without nothing coming their way.
Absolutely, that is not the outing that they would have expected. But once again, I mean, Flex, they're just joining into the lobby for the first time.
Yeah.
They're, of course, going to be utilizing the first game perhaps just to look at the information being the most crucial element. And as they move along, of course, Erangel is going to be coming back at the end of the day. But boy, oh boy, what an aggressive, wonderful, dominating start from the entire lobby, I would say.
Yeah, it was an amazing matchup. But as you said, this is the first match. We have more matches to go. So that means this match was just basically to test the waters.
Exactly.
As to what you were going up against in the opposing teams. But moving forward, now is going to be the matches that you use to establish yourself as a dominating team, or just keep a check on the teams that are doing really well.
Absolutely. With that, let's also have a look at the damage histogram in there. We look at the graph from the side of all these teams, and Team H2E very close to F4, not that far behind. Again, I mean, you talk about the way these teams have been able to get those, well, points is perfect, because pretty much every single team has at least 1 point from that kill, apart from, of course, Flex.
I mean, kills and the damage. I mean, so everyone was fighting, and I think it sort of is because of the fact that the early stages of the game, everyone was like, no one fought with anyone, and the fights only broke out during the mid-game stages. And during the mid-game stages, you have your position. The only reason you get taken out is because the circle moves away from you. Absolutely,
and that did happen to so many of these teams. But eventually, I mean, the way the perfect game came in from Erangel, that was dominating, of course. But now, that is just the start. Now the information has been relayed to the entire lobby with the drop locations, with the kind of gameplay to expect, with the kind of rotations to expect from so many of these teams. And of course, with that, they're probably going to be utilizing that when it came to the final game that will be on just day number 1, because again, it is just the start. For the next 5 days, it is going to be a race to PMPL Season 3, for which they need to be placing themselves on that top of the leaderboard. And for that, you get that kill, you at least get 1 point from that placement. But yes, with that, let's also talk about Team F4's card, and in that, of course, the summary of this entire game was, of course, in favor of Team F4, and Wolverine, just the perfect playmate.
Yeah, definitely putting up most of the kills for his team. 3 kills coming in, and well, the KPM is going to be really nice to look at for now, since it's just one match that these guys have played. But I mean, an interesting scenario. So this is the team that won. They had survival times for 28 minutes plus. That means, I mean, this Erangel match stretched out more than we usually see it.
Absolutely, but with that, of course, let's go back to this match itself. Let's go through the Oppo moments and find out what all the things that we saw and what all the things that, of course, just dominated through and through. And in that, of course, you talk about Zarar. The way they moved on along towards the side of Flex's last player was formidable, but eventually it is also a perfect approach from Flex's last player as well.
Yeah, definitely. A commendable effort, a valiant effort in that fight. But he was pinned down completely in the middle of nowhere. The blue zone was coming, and you have 1v4 situation. Zarar took advantage of that situation, but then they move forward and well cross the bridge and get picked off. But on the other side, this was an amazing play by Sky Hater from the side of NFP.
Absolutely, he was, of course, brought down to his knees thanks to, of course, FS Zulkar, but he was only a one-man army there, and again, to be able to hold that compound for that long and be able to push along towards an aggressive push was just perfect play coming in from that lad. But move towards these final circles, this is where the game just moved on towards the open zones, and that's where we could see fights coming in from left, right and center.
Well, definitely fights were breaking out everywhere, and we'll talk about this. 247, they managed to take on Magnus quite earlier on the game, but they got delayed in their rotation because, well, Magnus was not finished off, and 247, they were pinned down by the players of R3D and TUF, and that all sort of was the reason why 247 got picked off in the middle of their rotation. But then TUF, so they ended up making the same mistake as 247. They ran in between teams.
Absolutely, and that is what ends up happening when you've got those late rotations not working in your favor and you've already given away the information. It is, of course, going to be crosshairs waiting for you as soon as you start that rotation, and that's what we saw from a couple of these teams. But eventually, as this game came to an end, it was F4 that was just perfectly in control, and eventually were able to move on towards the side of H2E and complete that perfect kill and get themselves a chicken dinner with 22 points. Boy, oh boy, that is an aggressive, beautiful start for this team. For now.
That is a good start to it.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely. But with that, of course, right now we're going to go on a very short break, after which, of course, we're going to move on towards the second game, and which is going to be on Sanhok. So that, of course, right now we were looking at 28 minutes. Now probably that's going to be brought down to 24-ish minutes. Hopefully, it again, hashtag the team that you are supporting and rooting for in the chat, and let us know what is that one team that, of course, you would want to have chicken dinners either back-to-back or be on the top of that overall leaderboard. With that, like we said, we're going to go on a very short break. Stick around. Hello and welcome back once again to PMCO, which is of course PUBG Mobile Club Open Spring Split in the Pakistan region, and we are in that of course the regional final, and it is all thanks to Reno 5 Pro. With that, we just completed the game 1 on day 1, and in that it was a perfect play, Johnny, coming in from F4 as well as H2E. But now moving on, it is going to be Sanhok, and what to expect of course is going to be once again domination, because well, the map implies domination.
Well, exactly. I mean, it is the fast-paced action of this map and the speed at which this is played that, I mean, makes it a lot more interesting. Because even on Erangel, I mean, we did have that 12, 13-minute idle time, even though in the early stages of the match. On Sanhok, that does not happen.
Not at all.
The max ideal time is going to be, I think, like 3-4 minutes.
Absolutely, because again, right off the bat, you will have contestations either in the Paradise Resort, or you will have contestations towards the bootcamp region itself. And again, you move towards the entirety of the map. All of that will be brought down towards, well, what placements, what exact positions do these teams end up dropping down towards. And that too, again, the map being so small does not really give that many different options for so many of these teams, so they end up contesting for one compound or the other as soon as the game starts.
Exactly, and apart from those locations, I mean, even the circle can play some tricks. So we were casting a different region today, me and Ocean, who is usually present over here. So we were casting a different region today on the map of Sanhok. We had a split circle that was split between the main island and the Camp Alpha Island. So that makes things a lot more interesting, and I wish we get to see a circle like that over here as well.
Well, with that, let's quickly move on with the flight, because that has already taken off and it is moving towards the side of Sanhok indeed, and the flight path on our screens.
Well, it starts from the eastern side of Hatin and goes all the way to Sabi. So this trajectory is going to be quite interesting. Sanhok, I mean, every trajectory is interesting, because unless it heavily leans to the west or the east, and I mean heavily, I mean really heavily, unless it's like a trajectory that goes through Camp Alpha and through Camp Alpha alone on the western side of Tambang, you basically have the entire map to land on. Right now also, you basically have the entire map to land on.
Absolutely. With that, we see from northern side of the map, Star once again taking that perfect placement for themselves towards the region of Cow, and that is going to be working in their favor, because they probably are going to be working towards that late rotation as they normally do. On towards the eastern side, we see the side of course, Magnus that has gotten themselves the region of Hatin, and that's going to be all to themselves. But talk about a fanned approach. Portal Esports, either it's really fanned or they have only one player that is visible. But with that, we've got the circle coming on towards the northern eastern side of the game itself, of the map.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this is going to be quite interesting, because now you look at how things are going to change. So talk about things changing. I mean, look at the grounders. So one of the players of the team TG, the grounders, is landing actually between Zarar, or in fact Zarar Zalim is actually further away from his teammate, so it's going to be tricky for him to actually regroup with the lads. On the other side, I mean, this is something that I was going to talk about. Stalwart Esports Flex and the players of R3D.
Okay, that's exactly what we were talking about. Bootcamp contestations right off the bat. I mean, talk about the previous game working in favor of Flex this time around as well. They have, well, very selective utilities and gear set up on themselves, and they already have the information towards the side of R3D, who already are looking to probably either get themselves away, at least that's what we see, or at least some of them, nope, they're not wanting to get away. They are certainly going to be wanting to take this fight in their favor, and with that, we see early contestations coming in already towards the side of R3D, and that is going to work in favor of R3D, as they've already knocked down 2 players of Flex. Boy, oh boy, what an annihilation right off the bat.
Oh, this is going to be quite unfortunate, because even in the last map, Stalwart was the first one to take an exit, and in this game as well, 2 games without a single point.
Ouch, that is certainly a big ouch. On the side of course, R3D, they have been able to get themselves this entire region, and now are going to be, of course, very comfortable as they go around looting, because that was just an early fight coming in right off the bat in just 2 minutes of the game beginning already. And on that, of course, you move towards the side of the map, and we can very well see that Zarar, as Johnny just mentioned, has a very split approach towards this, and Team Grounder could very well be the one that they might take an early aggression towards. But that is something that we shall have to see. Move towards the southern side, towards the dock region, we see FS once again taking that very comfortable approach to themselves. They've got no team around to contest, but Tyrant seems to be very close to the compound of H2E for now. But for now, of course, they are wanting to take it very slow and low-key approach towards the entirety of the game. So talking about early contestations, that was the only one that we can perhaps expect, apart from NFP and NES.
Well, yeah, I mean, NFP, NES, and Portal Esports in that location, because Portal Esports it looks like they are charging in towards where Zalim is right now, and unless they take extreme right or an extreme left, their opponents are not going to change. They are charging in towards the players of Zarar Esports. They're just going to pass them by in a matter of seconds, and if they decide to stop on those huts, then a fight might just break out. But we're going to see if that actually happens, though. But I think in the early stages, I think Magnus and Star Esports, they're in a really, really comfortable position. Both of them have landed to the northern parts of the map, and since majority of the teams are already inside the circle, they're gonna have they're gonna have an easier time moving inside the circle if they decide to move right now.
Absolutely. Otherwise, that could very well work against them because the time will wait for none of these teams. And as soon as the circle starts shifting, MSG as well as MGS as well as, of course, Star will need to bring that rotation and work that in their favor, because otherwise the teams are going to be, well, stopping them as soon as they do so. But nevertheless, as we move along, all the teams are right now making their way towards the center, and along with that we see Bablu and F4 taking a fight, and that is towards the southern side of Painan for now. In that, of course, Bablu is an entire team all together, and on the side you talk about F4, they already have a knock confirmed for them, and the two players are together, whereas one of them seems to be northern side of Painan. So it's going to be a 4v3 situation, rather 4v2 situation.
Well, they have actually finished off Danny from the side of Bablu. So, alright, so now it's a 4v3 because the revive on the player of F4 that was knocked out has come in. Bablu is going to be sitting at a disadvantage. So, they're going to try and disengage from the situation entirely, try and survive a little bit longer. But is F4 going to allow that? Well, we'll be finding out in a matter of seconds. It looks like the team is moving together. They have, alright, so this is the situation right now. Zed and did get a revive. Bablu is on the low ground, and F4 is going to have a clear advantage in terms of vision on the players of Team Bablu. The only option Bablu has from here is just move a little bit further away, try and go inside the water, cross over to the other side, and then move from there. But Wolverine spots out Wolf from Bablu. Pikachu's hand was spotted while he was trying to toss the nade. Destroyer sees him, takes a few shots. Wolf is going to be finished off now. It's just Zebian and Pika who are surviving, but Destroyer, well, he's not going to let Pikachu Piki, when slightly goes inside the smoke, tries to survive, is going to be taken down by the shots that come in from the M4. Destroyer just putting up the numbers on the board. It's just Zebian who is just surviving. He's hiding right now.
Well, he certainly is hiding. I mean, that's the only thing that he can do, because again, they do need to be working towards those points as well. And talking about the invitational team, of course, Bablu, there were a lot of high expectations from this team. Same goes for Flex as well, but is not certainly the outing that they expected right off the bat on day number 1. With that, F4 confirming 3 kills, getting that 3-point right off the bat in 6 minutes, and we move on to the side of FS. FreeStyle is also in control of another invited team, and that is going to be R3G on the receiving end.
Well, R3G in some trouble right now. Tyrant is there. Ali Skate is there as well. They have players knocked out. Respects. HP is really low. Johnny with an aid. If he can get a knock, oh no. Was overcooked a little bit. Just blew up in the air. Johnny is proned out. He's stuck between the players of FS. See, the players towards his right-hand side, they can spot him out, but he spots them out first. Almost ends up taking down Zulkar, but goes for a reload. Takes down one, but he's going to be traded out instantly. And the players of FS answer back. They finish him off. No chance for a revive, but Zarar Esports out of nowhere. So the players of Regicide have gone inside this depth, but the players of Zarar Esports, they're going to be a 4-man squad, and they can potentially turn things around and eliminate the team of FS. They take down Respect. The other lads on the back line. Zulkar has been revived, but Zarar Esports, are they going to give the opportunity for FS to be a 4-man squad again? Or are they going to turn them down to a 3-man unit and then just take charge of this fight?
Absolutely. For now, Professor looking in control of the information. Absolutely. And FS Tyrant and all the other players of FS certainly getting themselves fanned out as they get themselves acclimated to this early aggression coming in from the side of Zarar. They just took down one team, that is going to be FS, but now they have the receiving end, and that receiving end is being brought on from the side of Zarar. Professor, for now, he is also keeping his eyes open for the cave area, because there is R3D is another player down there, but eventually, as he moves on along, he is going to get that information, perhaps or not, because FS, the way they've got themselves fanned out on this hill, is looking very comfortable and in their favor, but that smoke could be a dead giveaway for Professor if he's able to connect any of those shots. None coming and connecting thus far. But again, it is a very fanned out approach from the side of Zarar as well as FS. The only conversation is nobody has any information right now.
Yeah, no, and absolutely none of the teams have any information. And well, Zarar, it looks like they're just trying to go towards the low side of the hill and try and backstab FS from there. Otherwise, I mean, both the teams are just going to hold off from each other, hold off from engaging any further and just back off. And well, Zarar and FreeStyle, both of them are disengaging the situation. Although FS, they still want to find and finish off the players of Regicide.
Absolutely, it seems like Zulkar is certainly going to be wanting to work towards that, but for now, the only approach is to keep themselves alive. And on the other side of the map, we're looking at 247 bringing in some perfect aggression towards the side of PES, I believe it was. And with that, 247 also looking really, really strong. They've knocked down 2 players from the side of, or rather 1 player from the side of PES, and it is NES, it is, that is, my apologies, not Esports. And with that, they have confirmed 1 knock, and they're going to be pushing on along, get that 2 knock confirmed. Snow looking really, really bad in the lower end of that mountain. On the back end, of course, for 247 is going to be H2E, but H2E seems to have a knock as well. And with that confirmation coming in for this is just annihilation. The Grounders taking third-party situation towards this fight.
Exactly, and they can turn things around. I mean, Snow, if he manages to hold off the players of 247 a little bit longer, the Grounders are going to be part of it enough to take on the players of 247, and well, that is going to help Snow survive. But a wonderful nade coming in from Snow takes down Jut. 2 players still there, Zerbaf and Reaper. Reaper takes a lot of damage, and this, I think, is the Grounders coming in from the rear. Another nade comes in, but Reaper just manages to get behind cover right in the nick of time, manages to survive. Jut is going to get a revive. Snow, he has to heal up. Does he not have a first aid? I think he's putting up bandages right now. And yes, he does not have a first aid. The boosters are running in. That is what he's using. And well, I mean, he's at max boost right now. Needs to use the bandages now. Needs to start using the bandages right now so that he can heal up a little bit faster. The players of 247, they are charging in. Reaper is getting quite close. The Tommy gun could be quite handy, but no, he's going to be finished out by Jut, who was holding the back lines. And well, that is the end of North Esports in this match.
Absolutely, and 247 just completely capitalizing on this information and getting that kill for themselves, along with which, of course, they do get the points as well. So that is looking really good for the side of 247, but they are now a 3-man army. Talk about contestations. We've got a lot of fights right off the bat in the early 10 minutes of the game itself. Talk about the northern side of Kampong. We're looking at H2E right here going up against the side of Magnus. Magnus has been able to get 1 kill for themselves, have already got 1 player knocked for the side of H2E, and are now probably going to be bringing out a fanned-out approach. And H2E, if they do not get this thing understood, they are going to be at the receiving end and will probably be brought down from Magnus's Oreo.
Well, definitely, it is going to be a troublesome situation for them. They need to get this into control, and Hacker right in the nick of time just thrown down. Oh no, he fired a few shots, but does have the suppressor, so that can lead him to having the advantage in the fight. Oreo needs to get out. He has to revive his teammates. Magnus, they have completely blundered the situation, and with H2E, well, both the teams actually blundered really badly, because Magnus were coming in completely unaware, and H2E could have wiped them out in a matter of seconds, but just because of you miss your shot, so you shoot a little bit too early, you allow the opponents of the opportunity to back off. Ati is going to be dropped out really low. Weekend has the advantage in the situation. Needs to be a little careful. There's players of H2E on his rear as well, but the rocks are laid out in a position from where he can actually take a fight. If he has a nade, he can toss it towards the direction of Ati, and then Ati is basically going to be finished off.
Absolutely, and Ati right now not looking really good, but he's certainly bringing in that early aggression, but he's only focusing on that rock, and of course he's not keeping in mind that of course there could be another push coming in from the other side, and that is exactly the find out approach that Beacon brought in and has knocked that and will rather confirm that into a kill. Now H2E have only 1 man remaining. 1 player has already been knocked. MS, well, perfect. I mean, Magnus, they were in control of this fight. They had the information, and the way they took this fight, just fanning themselves across the entirety of the hill, has been beautiful. Skeps has been brought down from the side of that 1 man surviving from H2E, but for how long? Because this is going to be perfectly controlled aggression from Magnus's side, and Magnus keeping all 4 members alive and bring down the side of H2E for now.
Well, it was an impressive fight, because once they knew the players where they were. Once they had the information of the players of H2E, they did not let them go. Definitely not turning down the aggression, but the third party is going to come in just a couple of seconds later from the players of StarXOPS, and well, Gyro, he misses a few shots, does not get a knock, and now his information is compromised. It is going to be a 2 versus 4 situation, so they have to back off completely. That was a huge mistake.
That certainly was a huge mistake, because again, you look at the Magnus's approach. Weekend is on the extremely left-hand side and a perfect flank. But on the other side, of course, you talk about GodOps from StarX. He has been able to knock down another player of Magnus that is going to work in their favor, and along with that, they are going to be able to now use that time and probably run away, because that is what they should probably be doing. Along with that, of course, Magnus will be able to get StarXOPS alive and revived, and of course with that they will be a 4-man army. But as that rotation comes in, will Magnus be able to capitalize on this? Will there be any burst fires coming in? And yes, there are, but no knocks thus far, no damage thus far, just a little bit of damage, but that is going to be a-okay, and StarX runs away, no problem at all.
Alright, so they lose out on one more player. One more
Ouch.
player was knocked out. Oh, they finished them off completely. StarXOPS. They did manage to get away for a few meters, but it's like one player misses the trace. There are 4 of them.
Right.
Someone is bound to land the shots, and that is exactly what happened over there. But 2 for 7, they are not out of trouble right now. So this squad of 2 for 7 is taking on the players of PUBG Esports. They have Mom2 knocked out in front of them. They definitely need to finish him off. He's relaying a lot of information to his team right now.
Absolutely, and this is the kind of conversation that me and Ocean did have many times when it came to the quarry region, because again, those members of the team that are in the quarry region itself will always be at a very detrimental end, because they do not have a lot of cover working for them, and that is the perfect thing that PES could very well utilize in their favor, because Mom2 is down. They know that he was brought down in the lower end of the quarry itself, and so right now PES could very well keep their crosshairs towards this lower end of the quarry and perhaps convert that into a perfect kill. But 247 will not be allowing that. Looking really strong. They're a 3-man army for now with 6 kills to the side of 247 Gaming.
Well, they look really, really, really strong in this moment. 6 kills coming in, 3 men still strong, and they are inside the circle. They have to, I mean, it's up to them. If they want to fight the team of PUBG Esports, they can do that. If they want to avoid them, they can do that. But this fight needs to happen. Magnus versus FreeStyle. Magnus in the blue zone and FreeStyle capitalizing. Just one player, Adil from the side of Magnus, who is still surviving. His armor is almost gone. His helmet is shot up. Well, not enough. He takes down one, but no! Whoa! Respect from the flank just finishes him off. And the team of Magnus Esports, who looked really, really dominating a few seconds earlier, they have been finished off by FreeStyle. And FreeStyle, they have 7 kills confirmed with this.
They certainly do, and with that, FreeStyle has also lost one player to, well, Zarar, that is, because they were in the compound down here taking a fight against the side of Magnus. But on the other side, of course, right behind this compound is the hill where Zarar were able to capitalize on the information and get a kill for themselves, along with which they got a point. But right now, of course, we see a perfect, well, interesting rotation coming in from the side of FS right now. They're going to be looting outside the circle for now. And they do know that Zarar players are up there. With that, PES right now just slowly sneaking away from that position. They have no kills thus far, no points thus far, but they still have 2 players strong.
Well, PUBG Esports, they were running in the direction of another team. So I think it was R3D that they were running towards. So they need to be extra careful as to how they approach the situation entirely. But oh, NFP got completely off guard, just looting out in the open. And the players of the Grounders are going to capitalize on the information. They see 2 players, they take down one, and the other 2 back off.
Absolutely, and with that, TG is also looking good with the Grounders having 2 kills thus far. They are keeping at the back end of the circle itself. They do know that there is a team right behind them, but they will, of course, be able to contest that, which is, of course, FS that we just saw. That was Respect on the other edge of that hill, and he will, of course, be taking a little bit of damage. Along with that, a knock could probably be confirmed. Well, not yet, but, of course, they are outside the circle itself, so the damage that will be coming in towards them in a few minutes' time could be detrimental and could be their downfall as well, because Team Grounders are probably not going to let this position get away from them.
Well, definitely will not get let the position get away. They have to hold on to it. The high ground advantage needs to be theirs. But NFP, 2 players still surviving, and Abol, he has spotted out the players of FreeStyle, who, as we did see them, were outside the blue zone, and they're going to be forced to move in. So this position of the Grounders allows them to gatekeep the teams coming in from the rear. And we are 16 minutes in, so the aggression of the game is just going to go up from here on out. The teams are way too close for each other. PUBG Esports against R3D, as we did talk about them. Alright, so FreeStyle and the Grounders, the fight has broken out. The distance between the teams is a little bit too much, so I don't expect the charging to happen over there.
Absolutely, even if FreeStyle tries to charge in, that is going to be detrimental for them. If they try and make a late rotation outside the circle itself, sticking to the outside circle, it is the zone itself that is going to be detrimental for them, because it is zone number 4, moving on down to 1 minute remaining, and in that doing so, their rotation could very well backfire for the side of FS. But talk about this 4v3 situation that R3D and PES are in. PES have been able to knock down 1 player. That's going to be shot from the side of R3D, and another player will be knocked. No knock will be coming in for the side, and PES is the team that does fall back and being sent back into the lobby for now.
Well, definitely. Portal Esports, a few moments ago, it felt like they were in control of the situation, but then a bad rotation comes in. They run face first into the entire team of R3D. They tried the level best to hold them off, but R3D, they come out on top, down to 10 teams, 27 players alive in this match. So things look quite interesting right now. 2 for 7. They are running out in the open. They're going to be spotted out again by the players of R3D. Jut is going to be taken down by Anubis. One player, Zerbaff from the side of 2 for 7. He was holding back. He is still in the back line, so he can actually turn things around for his team.
Well, Zarar and FS have been contesting against each other for the longest time. Zarar were the one who brought down FS to 3-man strong, but with that, now FS has retaliated and brought down the player of Zarar, which is going to be Professor, who we saw early aggression coming in from. But Zarar is now only a one-man army. That is all Zaleem. That he will not be able to actually help his teammate. But FS, they seem to be able to make that rotation work in their favor, and along with that, also have been able to capitalize on some points, because this team right now, two-man army, has 10 kills for themselves. That is FreeStyle.
Well, definitely, and the kills are going to be important right now, because look at this. FreeStyle, 10 kills, two players remaining, and it's still the early stages of the game. Also, they are outside the circle. They have to move in. All right, they take on the players of TUF right now. Definitely putting themselves in a really, really risky position, but NFP spot out a honey of the grounder. Sky Hater takes him down. 2 for 7 on the other side of the rock. They have to be really careful. The blue zone comes in. The grounders in a wonderful position to pick off this last surviving player for NFP.
Absolutely, if they decide to do so, because these two players have been sticking to this location for the longest time, and the grounders were the one who decided, but all right, it's enough time that we've wasted right here, because they were the ones who initially brought the aggression towards the side of NFP and brought them to two-man army, but eventually that retaliation was seen, and NFP were able to convert that. Along with that, they get another confirmation of a kill. That is going to be, of course, 247, I believe, and wow, with that, 4 kills to this team.
See, this is why everyone hates this map, Sanhok, because, well, people just become Sanhok snakes. That's the phrase we use for them. You lie down on the ground, you wait for unsuspecting players to come in your direction, and then you just finish them off in an instant. But now NFP, they were making a lot of noise, so they're going to be shut down finally by the players of R3D. Sky Halsey is going to be taken down. That means Sky Hater is still alive. That one man can create a lot of chaos, as we have seen from him, but we are down to 7 teams and 12 players. 7 teams, 12 players, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely, and with that, as we look onto this compound towards the side of F4, that is in their control. They are 2 men strong for now. There's going to be Khan and Wolverine, but they, oh yes, they do have the information. I was just about to say that they probably do not know that there is another player that is rushing towards their position, but eventually, as the grounder KSF tries to get into the circle and towards the compound, it's probably not going to be able to fan out in his favor, because it is, of course, F4 that have the upper hand, and yes, that is exactly correct, but the kill goes to another team altogether.
Yeah, the kill goes to TUF. They spot him out. They're like, hey, there's someone running out in the open. Might as well just finish him off. And TUF just definitely taking advantage of the situation. But with Regicide, a couple of more eliminations do come in. NFP have been taken out. F4 are going to be next. TUF, they are 4-man strong right now in this final situation. They have a really, really high probability of taking this chicken dinner. Look at that, 50.9%. Make that 56 right now, as one of the players does actually manage to heal up. But a pretty high chance that they are going to get the chicken dinner. 4 teams remaining. It is TUF, R3D, Team Bablu, and F4. The last player from F4 is in the blue zone, going for the heal battle, I think, with 3 first aids to his name. Wolverine has to find a sneaky way to enter the circle, avoid all the teams, and get in the back lines.
Which is going to be really, really tough, because as soon as he starts utilizing the smoke walls, he's going to be giving away information. As soon as he starts to walk towards the circle itself, it's an open zone, thus implying that if any of the teams have their crosshairs towards that side, which could very well be TUF, as they had that early information, could bring him down. And with that, of course, Wolverine making that information known, and that is where he will be brought down, or not yet. Yep, that is a confirmed kill, and with that, we have 3 teams remaining for now.
Yeah, they spot him out, running out in the open. He was finished off. Bablu Zibian in the backline. So that is also quite interesting. So his team and his teammates basically were picked off quite earlier on in the game, but he has managed to get those survival points for him. But R3D, look at this, 10 kill points confirmed. If R3D somehow managed to get themselves the chicken dinner, it is going to be a massive, massive one.
It is going to be electric for this team, because again, I mean, this is an invitational team, so we've got 2 invitational teams in this final fight. As we see, we've got 4v2v1 situation where Bablu, again, the only approach that they can have is to keep themselves silent and patient for the longest time, wherein Venom, the side of TUF, bringing in perfect domination. They have 1 knock, or rather just 2 players remaining now. They were 4-man strong as they moved in towards this side, but Joker has just gotten his 2 kills to 4 now.
Well, Joker took down 2 of the players from the side of TUF. So he is actually creating a lot of trouble. Look at this. So Zibian, Team Bablu, they have no kills. But Zibian can turn the tides of this game. He sees both the teams in front of them. He is hiding in a bush right now, and he sees both of the teams. He sees Joker, he sees Edgar, and if he decides to shoot one of them, that is basically GG's.
And with that, we see Edgar taking that early aggression with the utility of course, the grenade, but no damage being coming on down towards the side of Joker for now. And this is going to be a stalemate situation where indeed they have the information that is only being pushed on against the rock for now, and that rock will only be sustaining that much because the circle has now moved away from the side of R3D Joker, and Joker is going to have to go out in the open. As he does so, that could be troublesome. But again, you talk about Bablu, I mean, he has no utilities as of now apart from just that one medkit, and that is it.
Yeah, but he's deciding to move out. He sees Edgar. Edgar can be finished off. Is this man actually going to do this? Alright, so Virus dies right behind them. R3D is just one player still surviving. He had 1 first aid on him. Alright, but I think Zibian is going to be finished off to you if they get the chicken dinner. Takes down 1.
What a play.
Can he get the second? No.
Well, this is just interesting because again, you talk about the circle, it was just in that final nick of time. He had brought down 1 player, just a little bit of damage was remaining on the other player, but eventually, of course, it is a beautiful play coming in from the side of Bablu, but eventually Team TUF taking 6 kills in total, 21 points.
Yeah, impressive from TUF, impressive from R3D, and impressive from Zibian from the squad of Bablu. But it was like a guessing game towards the end. Is he going to get this? Is he not going to get this? But the reason he got taken out was like pretty weird. He was switching his weapon while he was going in.
Yep.
And he put down his gun. The other player peeked out from behind the rock and finished him off. Had he kept his gun out, he would have managed to make it in. And then it would have been a much even fight.
Absolutely. But again, I mean, talk about the play. That was just phenomenal from the side of R3D. They had already 10 kills and then moved on along. And again, I mean, we just noticed TUF, they even though got the chicken dinner, they are second on that ranking. So again, it's the kill point that is coming in their favor. With that, let's move on towards the most valuable player and find out who gets that award for this game.
It is going to be Virus from the side of R3D. He gets 5 kills. Look at this. Healing done is 24 with 617 damage. Wow, impressive.
Just 24 healing. Wow, what an aggressive lad this was. He certainly was a virus in the map of Sanhok for other teams, and that is exactly what he showcased today.
Yeah, definitely. And this virus was pretty deadly. But I think I would like to see if there were other players from the side who were doing really well. And well, it is R3D Joker over there with 4 kills. So 9 on these two combined. Then we have Venom from the side of TUF with 4 kills and Reaper with 4.
Wow, that is just perfect. Again, I mean, the way R3D played that final circle was beautiful to see. Again, that's the reason why we see them, 2 of the players from the team right here with 9 kills confirmed for themselves. And that is just gorgeous because, again, those single kills are bringing you 1 point, and that is so very crucial, along with which you add on that they were second in that game when it came to, of course, the final team that was remaining alive. That is just going to give you that much more placement points. Combine the 2 together, you're certainly going to be over-toppling the team that even though got the chicken dinner but did not get enough kills.
Exactly, and that is why we always say, I mean, getting those kills, it's like a trade-off. You are trading the points, the quick points for the safety, for the safety during the later stages of the game.
Absolutely. With that, let's move on to the match ranking itself. As we just were mentioning, it is R3D that is going to be taking that first spot thanks to those 12 kills coming into this team's favor.
Yeah, 22 points in total coming in for R3D. Then we have TUF with the chicken dinner, but with just 6 kills, 21 points. Look at F4, they get 7 kills, 8 position points, 15 points, and they are on the 3rd. Team Bablu, this is the best outcome from a worst possible situation. 3 players picked up within the first 5 minutes of the game, and then it's just Zibian who actually managed to run away and bring his team inside of the top 2. 12 points coming in. Hey, as long as you can bring the points consistently, it does not matter if those are just placement points or just kills.
Absolutely, but as you talk about the second page, this is where Stalwart Flex, they need to showcase a little bit more of that prowess that they've showcased us earlier, because that team needs to get some points going in their favor. As of now, they have been, well, once again, this is the second time for the day that they've been sent back into the lobby. First team itself, the 16th team that goes into the lobby, which is just not the kind of play that we expect from them.
Yeah, off to a really shaky start. And I think today, if that happens, I mean, they still have 4 more days to sort of recover. But the later you start your recovery from, the further away the competition is going to be and the more points you're going to have to cover up. So I think the next 2 matches, if they actually bring themselves inside of the top 3, that's going to be okay.
That's certainly going to be working in their favor. With that, let's also have a look at the perfect damage graph, where indeed you talk about this R3D. They were in domination, 1923 damage. Only a few away from FreeStyle.
It was them and FreeStyle all the way in this matchup. They were picking up all the kills, but I mean, as I was saying, if you are going to go for those kill points, you are taking a risk in those fights, and you might end up losing a few players. That means you're going to get eliminated a little bit earlier on than expected, but you still get those early points though. That's the trade-off. If you go for those placement points, just like Team Bablu did, you might not get those huge chunk of points, but you're gonna get those points, and if you can do that consistently, I think that is what matters at the end of the day.
Absolutely, that is going to be the most essential position that you need to be able to sustain, because that is the kill department. The kill department needs to be working in your favor. With that, let's move towards the open moments and find out. I mean, right off the bat, in the first 3 minutes itself, we saw Flex going down.
Yeah, I mean, it was I do not understand why the team decided to charge in. Look at this. So 5 minute 30-second in, Team Bablu loses 3 players straight, and then Zibyan just goes on to survive till literally the end of the match. But R3 Regicide on the other side. Regicide, I mean, this could have been a fight that could have gone their way, but kudos to FreeStyle on realizing, alright, so individual players, we're just going to gang up on them and just finish them off one by one.
Absolutely, and right here we saw 247 take a perfect kill towards the side of NES as they brought the entirety of the team down with a perfect flanked approach. And that was just perfectly working in his favor as well, because it was a 3v1 situation. But talk about Magnus. I mean, they have had an interesting run, but just not been able to capitalize on their final situations.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Magnus, we have a lot of huge expectations from this team based on how they played during the group stages of the tournament. But in the finals, the level of the competition has shot up by quite a lot. So it's going to take time for them to adjust to it, but I think it is going to be them trying the level best from tomorrow onwards.
Absolutely. I mean, the way I see this right now, Johnny, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm looking at it like today being the grace period, so to say, so that all the teams across all the 4 games try and get as much information as they possibly can for the other opponent teams, and eventually from tomorrow on, it will be domination through and through from all the teams, because they should have done their homework in today's game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree with you on that. But it's just one thing. Even if you are in that grace period, just don't let the competition get way too far ahead.
Right.
That's all you have to do. So if you are just going to try and study up on your opponents, make sure that you are at least getting a few points, like 7 to 8 points, 9 points in every single game. Having an average of that sort, I think you're going to be in a comfortable position. The competition is not going to be too far ahead. If you can actually do really well today and study up on your opponent's playstyle at the same time, there's nothing better than that.
Exactly, that is so very true. With that, let's move on to the overall ranking. We've got 2 matches done in the regional finals indeed, and in that, we've got Team F4 taking a lead of 37 points, 8 points away from the second team, that is going to be TUF.
Yeah, TUF on the second with 29, so there's already a difference between the first and the second, but not much. But then we have R3D Esports, who have 11 placement points, 16 kills, 27 points in total, have put up amazing numbers for themselves. And apart from that, I think the only interesting thing is going to be FreeStyle, because look at that, 2 placement points, 2, but they have 15 kills in those 2 games.
Wow, talk about domination, talk about aggression. FreeStyle is just YOLOing through and through and not wanting to care about those points as of now, nor the chicken dinner for that matter. But again, I mean, talk about the placement points. Again, all the teams are bringing in a few kills for themselves, getting either the kills or the placement points, as we just noticed with Bablu. But Flex, Stalwart Flex, they need to now pick up the pace. They need to showcase some aggression. Perhaps they are just waiting for this 3rd game, which is going to be on Miramar.
I mean, maybe they were waiting for the opportunity of this map, because I mean, it is those off maps, those that allow the opportunity for comebacks to the teams. And well, if they were waiting for this map, here we go.
Here we go indeed. Just a few minutes away, they will have that spotlight in their favor, hopefully, if that's what they've been waiting for. If not, then again, GG's, because again, this is, so to say, a grace period day for them. So they could very well just slowly and steadily move on along. But again, talk about all the other teams in the lobby. They have been doing exactly as you said, because if not the placement point, they're working towards those kill department. With that, we're going to go on a very short break. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open. This is of course the spring split that we're in the Pakistan Regional Finals, and it's all thanks to Reno 5 Pro. I'm of course going to be your host as well as caster, and along with me is going to be none other than Phoenix for the next two games.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this warm welcome, and you know what, I'm again going to cast the PMCO Pakistan region. I'm very excited. What about you?
Well, of course, I mean, till now, this is just day number 1 of the regional finals, and indeed in that, we've seen some phenomenal plays throughout the lobby, actually. It's not just like one-sided dominated lobby, so that's really good to see. But again, you talk about invitational teams, the way they've been playing, I mean, right now itself, we saw R3D in that miraculous play.
True.
Even though they did not get the chicken dinner, they were on first position.
They were on first position, which shows that, you know, they're just giving the perfect competition to the other teams, right?
Right.
Even though they got the invitation, but still, they got the medal. Yeah, this is now we are going to we have the Miramar map, and teams have, you know, they have huge amount of time to, you know, do their basic loot, and
True.
after that they can you know, do some advanced loot, and they can plan some strategies.
Exactly, of course. I mean, when it comes to the map itself, right?
Yep.
When it comes to the map, of course, it is going to be a very slow-paced map.
True.
Because of the map being that extended. But eventually, again, when you talk about the slowly and steadily those skirmishes starts happening, every single team till now that we've seen is getting at least 2 to 3 kills every single game. So now, based on the map being so enlarged, I'm thinking that maybe it might go towards just one team, maybe it might go towards just a few select teams. That is something that, of course, we'll have to see. But talking about teams themselves, what team are you going to expect and predict from?
I think so, the Grounders, because if we talk about this particular team in
Right.
the, you know, in the league stages, they got 2 chicken dinners, which is really
Oh, yes.
insane. And right now they are in the top 5, which shows that they are just showing the perfect performance from this side. And let's see how they're going to perform in this Miramar match. And I'm hoping you know, one more team, which is Team F4,
Right.
they're going to perform well in this match.
Absolutely. They are on the top of the leaderboard as of now. F4 having had a
Yep.
wonderful start right off the bat with that Erangel game. It was just a chicken dinner GG for them with the game, with the way that their team played. But eventually, again, so many of these other teams are so close. They are so close that just one good game, and we could very well see, of course, Flex also, you know, show a little bit of that flex in the lobby and get themselves known. Because right now, it is just being separated as well. They're not performing. They're just not able to do it.
But you know, Team H2A, I just want to talk about this
Right.
team. You know, in the first match they secured 2nd position, but in the second match they got eliminated on the 13th position, which is really not a good outing.
Absolutely, that is true. With that, of course, let's get busy with this match number 3 on day 1 of regional finals, and it is, as of course Phoenix said, going to be Miramar, where indeed the flight path is going to be on our screens now.
And the flight path is in front of me, going from the southern side of the El Pozo towards the, you know, southern side of the Puerto Paraiso. But the first question arrives in my mind, that where the zone is gonna form. It is going to form towards in the center, or it's going to favor the areas near to Al Hazar or Junkyard, Cruz de Vele. What do you think?
Absolutely. Again, I mean, that is a speculation-based answer because no idea as to where the circle would go, but that is something that can very well be predicted when it comes to the first circle, right? When it comes to the first circle itself, you will know, well, where exactly can we predict the entirety of the teams to be rushing towards, because we know when it comes to this map, there are so many of the teams that do end up going towards southern part, like, for example, NFP. I mean, we know for a fact that NFP so many times have decided to go down towards the southern part, but right now, they seem to be taking a completely different approach, where they are going to be going down towards Tora Carter Fields, and that again will work in their favor. But eventually, so many of these teams, as of now, because the entirety of the flight path is towards, well, the western side of the game, of the map, if teams want to go towards Minas Generalis or Junkyard or even towards Hacienda del Patron, it is going to be very difficult. It is going to be very difficult because, again, you can go on towards those side Elazar as well, but you're going to have to be ready for those early rotations then.
Bilkul. Yeah, you're right. You have to be ready for those early rotations. But look at the position of the players from H2E. They're, you know, they're just going in a very they're just what is the
Right,
name?
a fanned out approach
Yeah,
is what
fanned
we
out,
saw.
yeah, they're just you know, they got splitted away from each other. Just maybe I think so. Their first approach is just gonna loot some individual compounds. Maybe they're going to get some decent amount of loot there.
Being separated by each other, perhaps that could be the reason for that drop location. Might work for them, might not work for them. But as they bring that rotation in their favor, we shall have to wait and see if it will be in their favor. Talking about Zarar, they are right next to, in the same compound, towards 247. Now they have themselves a decent loot right here. We're looking at Professor with level level 2 helmet as well as a perfect kit, but 247 Messi Reaper have themselves fanned out as well. Now Zarar is maybe going to be able to take this fight or not, because again, as they parachuted down, I'm sure both the teams ought to know that there is another team in the same compound going to be contesting them.
Yeah, going to be contesting them. They have to take some fights, or maybe the first approach of these teams are like just collect some loot, and first of all we are going to spot down those players where they are, and after that we are going to take some fight. But by the looks of it, Reaper maybe he's just going to charge towards the player of Zarar, Zigzag, and he is right now he's alone in that compound, and this is the perfect approach coming from the side of Reaper if this is going to go into his favor.
Absolutely, and in that, of course, we were talking about a fan-out approach towards the side of H2E. Zarar also seems to have taken a fan-out approach indeed, but with that, they seem to be conversing alongside the team as well, because they know that there is another team that will probably be contesting them, and with that they are going to be combining their efforts in this entire push. 247 from one side, on the other side of course is going to be Zarar, and right now Zarar Esports is just trying to dominate this push coming in, but eventually none of those grenades are hitting their target. None of those grenades have been able to knock or even bring a little bit of damage. But on the other side of course, Zalim bringing in a perfect fan-out approach, and Reaper going to be rushing exactly towards that and will not work in his favor, wherein Zalim and Professor have been able to knock and will be confirming that kill, and Reaper goes down.
Meanwhile, Zigzag also got knocked down, and 247 Gaming, the players from 247 Gaming tried to confirm that kill, but unfortunately they could not able to do that. But you know what, Blotter, this is not a good start 247 got, because they already lost one player in a very early stage. We just hit the 3-minute marks, and unfortunately, meanwhile, Zalim also got knocked out, and Sapaf going to eliminate him, and he's going to do the same thing with Professor.
Well, Professor was just able to get away from that position, but this perfectly timed grenade, if that is something that he wants to do, no, that is not the case, and that confirmation kill will be coming in his favor. 2 kills to him. That implies 3v3 situation is what we're going to be looking at right here, where indeed Zarar Zigzag is out in the open. He better get himself back into the compound, otherwise it is going to be a bit of a troublesome situation. But no is the answer coming from Jut, and he will not be allowing that. Rather, he's going to be confirming that kill and get himself 3 points as of now. With that, Zarar, only one man remaining.
And which is Myth. But 247, they are quite happy because they lost one player, but meanwhile they got 3 points, and which is a great thing for them, because we just hit the 4-minute marks. But as when the game got started, as I predicted that the zone is going to form near the area of Al-Azhar, and it is favoring the San Martin side, a little bit of the San Martin, and more towards the center of the water treatment area.
Absolutely, for now that is the case, that for which we are going to be looking at contestations between the side of perhaps R3G as well as the Grounders and FS in the circle as well. So again, you talk about a perfect approach. This is going to be R3G's perfect fanned out approach, and they have this area for themselves. That is going to be Cruz de la Well. But eventually, again, you talk about the southern part of the map. We are looking at Bablu. That is all by themselves for now. In their way, as they make that rotation, will be Magnus, if Magnus decides not to step away from the southern part of Montenumero. And again, on top of that, or rather southern part of El Pozo, we're looking at Zarar and 247 that we just witnessed. Myth is going to be running away from El Pozo as far as he possibly can, because he's only a one-man army for now. And that is the only contestations we've seen thus far. Apart from that, the entirety of the lobby is looking pretty comfortable. No knocks or no kills being confirmed as of now. But as we move on along, we were of course talking about it, that it will be a slow paced action, but right off the bat, it is Zarar in the crosshairs.
Zarar in the crosshairs. But the main thing is, Blotter, Zarar usually prefer to land near the southern area of the Hacienda del Petro. They just changed their drop location. They dropped near the area of El Pozo, and they got punished by 247 Gaming, which is not a good thing. Meanwhile, now all the teams who are just outside of the zone, they are gonna get busy by doing their rotations. But the first thing, that H2E, from where they are going to do their rotations?
Well, that's again their comfortable spot. That is going to be Los Higos. That is what we've seen throughout the group stages. H2E has always fanned themselves towards that position and has always worked with the circle, sticking to the edge of the circle itself. For now, as we see all these teams slowly making their way into the circle itself, we see Flex right now, and Flex is looking good, but the Grounders is very close to their position as well. We are looking at a ball for now. Where exactly is his team? The Grounders are also a very, very strong team, and for now we're looking at KSF and Akbal, who have 2 vehicles, and the 2 other players that are going to be Shaptar and Honey are out in the open for now.
Yep, out in the open, and I think so. Abul just gonna pick his teammate, which is going to be KSF, or maybe they're just finding the perfect location, which is going to be inside the zone, inside the safe zone. But right now, this team NES, they're looking pretty decent right now. In the last previous 2 games, they're not that good. They were not playing that good, but let's hope for the best. Maybe they're going to get chicken dinner in this game.
Absolutely. I mean, North Esports, we've seen this team perform and outshine the lobby so many times. And right now, of course, the conversation is grace period times, where indeed Portal Esports is another team to talk about when you talk about NES, because Portal Esports also has a high caliber team and teammates. But eventually, when you talk about the previous games, they've not been able to convert them in their favor for now. They are just looking pretty dominating, because you look at Murtaza and his loot, he's looking pretty dominating indeed, like we said, because 3-level perfect bag as well as vest with just 1 medkit. He's of course going to be working towards getting his loot that much more segregated for now, but the grounders are very close to them.
Very close to them, and I think so we are going to witness maybe we are going to witness a very, very close fight, or we are going to witness a very close fight between these 2 teams. But what we have the first airdrop. In that airdrop, we have one M249 with 100 bullets loaded in it. And right now, FreeStyle, they're just playing with a 3-man lineup. Is this a nice choice?
Well, again, you don't know what exactly could be the reason for them being playing with a 3-man lineup, with maybe some connection issue or something or the other. But eventually, again, we know that this is a dominating team, and we know that they have a really good position when it comes to them on the leaderboard, on the overall leaderboard. So eventually, right now, perhaps their only focus should be to get those placement points and keep that lead from the entirety of the lobby, perhaps. On the other side, of course, you talk about early fights and skirmishes. We are looking at F4 that was so close to the grounders. There are knocks coming in, and Portal Esports is also around in that region.
Yeah, and F4 just knocked down 1 player of the grounders, but Portal Esports want to join the party and get that kill into their favor. Meanwhile, F4 just hiding behind inside the compounds, and Destroyer, he has 1 Mini 14 with the 8x, which is a very, very very good combination which you need in this Miramar map.
Absolutely, and of course he's got his crosshairs set up towards getting some information relayed to the entirety of his team, and they have a pretty decent compound as well. With that sort of a site, they will be able to annihilate the competition that is going to be out in the open. And again, talk about out in the open competition, that is of course going to be PES as well as F4 for now. But talk about R3G, they are looking pretty neat as well, with only 3-man strong this time around. They have had a decent run, and of course they will want to showcase that wonderful prowess as they did so in the previous game with the 10 to 12 kills is what they brought, I believe, in the last game. But move on towards PES. They have themselves a compound. F4 have finally moved away from that situation and are going to be working towards another compound that they can get themselves accustomed and acquainted to for now.
And which is a nice choice, because you don't want to engage in some early fights. Meanwhile, players of Flex, Uzim, I think so, he just want to... He's just running in the open and trying to... he spotted down some players and tried to take him down right now.
Well, GG's indeed. I mean, of course, Flex want to get that information for themselves, but eventually we just noticed that PES is not that far away.
Yeah.
Now, being out in the open, Star has given a lot of information. Flex has given a lot of information towards the side of PES, and they, of course, have not retaliated thus far, but they know that there is a team there.
Yep.
There have been no kills, no knocks as for now when it comes to teams being sent back into the lobby, and I do not want to see Flex go back into the lobby once again, being the first team.
Yeah, true, same here. But let's see how they're going to perform in this match. Meanwhile, F4, they got busy while taking fight with the players of 247, and right now, by the looks of it, Khan just backed off, I think so. Again, this team don't want to take an early fight because the second zone is just closing in. We just hit the 11-minute marks and we have 55 players alive. But 2 teams were playing with only 3-man lineup.
As of now, exactly, we saw F4 right there playing with a 3-man lineup, as well as Flex, I believe, was the one that was playing with a 3-man lineup as well. And eventually, again, you talk about F4's entire rotation, they are working towards just getting themselves set up in a compound that will have no team around. And that's what we see. They're moving on down towards the southern part of Hacindia del Patron and going to be moving up towards the side of water treatment. Now, as they do so, there is Magnus that is maybe going to be able to contest for that situation for now. But of course, F4 is going to be trying to get themselves acclimated to this. Along with that, we see Bablu, another team that is only playing with a 3-man army this time around.
Yep, same, which is not looking good. But we have the second airdrop in front of us, and we have the green cannon, the AWM, with level 3 kit and one adrenaline syringe. And this is going to be really, really decent choice if you're going to pick that gun, because this is a Miramar map. Mostly we are going to witness some long range fights, and this is going to help you a lot. This gun is going to help you a lot.
That is so true. Again, you look on towards the northern side of the map itself. You're looking at NFP making a rotation, and there's no team that will be contesting them. And as you just spoke about that airdrop, it is going to be right in their path if they decide to stop and check it out. Along with that, of course, you talk about contestations. There are so many teams that have made themselves, well, comfortably set up in the circle apart from H2E for now.
What a curve twist. What a turn of events.
Absolutely, what a curveball it was from the circle, and with that, Bablu not looking good. GUF Edgar has the entire information, a 4v3 situation, rather it is a 4v1 now, as the entirety of the team was just knocked out from those grenades, from perfectly timed grenades from Edgar, and GG's. Bablu is the first team that will be sent back into the lobby for the game of Miramar right now. Bablu was certainly looking very, very comfortable on that fourth position, and on that, along with that aggression, you're looking at the grounders getting annihilated right here in the open.
And right now, meanwhile, Sapta is looking, he's not looking good, because his position got revealed, and the players from MGS, they're just, he spotted them. They spotted him down, they burst his car, and right now he's just thrown down into open, which is not a good thing. Same for Abdul. Meanwhile, he got knocked off by PES Mojo.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw the grounders approach. They were fanned out throughout that early rotation as well. Where two of them were in the car and two of them were out in the open. Now, that is exactly what has backfired, I believe, for them. And in that, both of these players are so far away, there will be no revival coming in. And with that, it's going to leave TG with only one-man army for now. Whereas on the other side, of course, Untitled Esports, Kasov is the one who's got the information to his side and will probably want to bring that confirmation, that one knock confirmation into a kill and get that point. As they get themselves acclimated, we're looking at StarX right now, taking a third-party aggression, or no, they are the ones who are at the receiving end. My apologies, from the side of Untitled Esports.
And right now, Blade, my bad, Ops just got knocked out by Sneak, and Portal Esports, they're looking in a very, very good position because they spotted down one player. Meanwhile, R3D Insane, they're just charging towards the player inside the compound. Khan, he's not looking good, but he knocked out one player and gonna knock out one more player as well. And R3D, they're down to only one player, which is Nocto.
Which is Notto, and he is trying to, of course, bring that domination, but will not be able to do so. And in doing that, he has, of course, got his team eliminated. Now, they were only a three-man army. There was no reason for them to push on that aggressively against the side of F4. Even though it was a fair fight, it was a 3v3 situation. But eventually, I mean, the way you take an approach into an apartment, there needs to be some utility being utilized. There was no utility at all. You're just crossing across the staircase. And, of course, you have to expect the crosshairs are going to be pointed directly at your head. And that's what happened. Now we've got F4 as well as R3D in the compound, and R3D have a bit of an overhill advantage right here.
And they are going to use that into their favor. Meanwhile, Joker trying to find an opportunity. Meanwhile, Zadan is just jumping and trying to spot down some players of R3D Esports. And right now, by the looks of it, maybe they're just going to hold this compound for so long until unless the zone going to shift or going to take a great, gonna throw a curveball towards them, basically.
Absolutely, and in the kill feed, we just noticed FS taking another fight towards the side of H2E, as H2E made that late rotation from the south. It is not looking in their favor. They seem to have made their way towards the side of FS, and FS was well prepared. You've got the map on your screens, along with, of course, we also have the players on our screens, and H2E Red is the only one that I can see who seems to be alive. The other player is knocked outside the circle, not looking good. And FS, Respect, as well as Ali are going to probably try and convert this fight into a situation in their favor.
Into their favor. Meanwhile, Red, he's just thrown down. Spotted down both the players of FreeStyle. Is it going to take him down or still going to wait for them? Going to be the venomous snake in the Miramar map. And FS, I think so they know that one player is in front of them and now this is backing off, or maybe they don't know about it, just doing some, random stuff.
Absolutely. For now, they certainly don't seem to have the information towards that last player of H2E. And again, you talk about FS Zulkar. He's out in the open, and he seems to have taken a knock. And that is, of course, thanks to the zone itself. Talk about R3D. They were in the compound right next to F4, and F4 seems to be deciding to push on along or maybe make that rotation in their favor. Because right now, there is no contestation for this upper compound. But R3D is taking a separate fight altogether from across the mountain towards the other side, towards NFP Ash for now. No knocks being brought in, no damage being brought in, but F4 Khan, we can see in the backland, trying to probably probe where exactly are R3D's players set up.
Yep, and Joker dished out a lot of damage to Sky Ash, but he was barely surviving on 5% HP. He was quite lucky. Meanwhile, Virus throwing a grenade, lobbing a grenade towards the side of F4 Khan. Meanwhile, we can see the kill feed StarX coming into action, and the Grounders got eliminated on the 14th position. Meanwhile, Blades is taking a fight, but unfortunately, he got knocked out.
Well, that is true indeed, and with that, of course, this is what we wanted to see. Flex showcase a little bit more of domination in the game, and that is what they're trying to do as they bring down the player of NFP. But keep in mind, far away on the other side, we do have, well, R3D crosshairs set up towards this team as well. So, of course, this has now turned into a different competition altogether, where NFPSKY has been able to knock by knock, bring down the side of course, Flex, and that leaves them with only one man up. He has to revive all three players and bring this fight into this favor, which is now turned into a 1v1 situation.
And meanwhile, FS also want to join the party. Khate just lobbing some smoke grenades so that he can make some extra cover for himself. Meanwhile, Blade just lobbing some more grenades so that he can confirm that kill. Sky Ash is just bleeding out slowly and steadily. Meanwhile, Blade also taking some damage and just got thrown down in the open area, and Anubis find him down and knocked him down as well.
Absolutely, from the other mountain, that's what we were talking about, that R3D did have their crosshairs set up towards this exact same fight, where indeed NFP were the ones that were in the receiving end from the side of R3D, and that is what will be confirmed, and the knock goes to the favor of R3D, where indeed the eventual position for Flex has worked in their favor. But now, as they get themselves away from that position, they need to be very careful that there is a team that had their crosshairs set up, and that is going to be a bit of a trouble for the side of Flex, because one side we see FS coming in towards them, NFP in the crosshairs, and R3D not letting them to run away.
Yep, not letting them to run away. But look at the position of PSKY. He's just on the edge of the mountain. Meanwhile, Joker just using that Car 98 with the 8x scope. He just, just trying to knock down single player of Flex Esports and shooting some random shots, but could not able to do that. Meanwhile, F4 and R3D still holding the same position, but this is the time to do just focus on rotation, because after 20 seconds the zone is going to close in.
Absolutely, and that is where F4 and R3D are probably going to be the ones that will be contesting. Or no, that is not the case, because F4 have already decided that they are going to be taking an early rotation out of this situation, because the circle is certainly going to be bringing them into not a good position if they would have decided to stick there. But right now, R3D needs to be making that position as well and just get themselves out. But with that, we have Magnus bringing in perfect domination as is required from the side, because that has been a very, very long-awaited team that needs to showcase some domination in the regional finals for now.
Yeah, true, and they got one kill as well. Meanwhile, they spotted down some players of the TUF. Oreo trying to dish out some damage. He knocked out ESP. Meanwhile, FreeStyle got eliminated, and Oreo going to convert that knock into a kill. Meanwhile, just trying to knock him down as well, but could not able to do that. But P is still surviving. We got 9 teams, and right now, ESP, he got knocked out in the open, just trying to, just taking cover of that burn car, and his teammates just lobbing some smoke grenades so that they can revive him.
Well, this is not looking good for the side of TUF indeed, because one side is going to be Magnus, other side is going to be StarX, and they are in a bit of a situation, a tricky situation indeed. And in that, if at all NES wants to step in, they very well could do so and bring down both of these teams, because they have the information thanks to all the smoke that has been lodged, and that is exactly what's happening, where indeed NES has taken fights towards the side of StarX, and so is StarX bringing that domination towards the side of TUF. Eventually, though, NES's help has resulted in StarX getting eliminated, and TUF still surviving with one-man army, but will probably be able to give a revival to both of his teammates.
To both of his teammates. Meanwhile, Waken just trying to spot down some players of 247. Jat got M14 with 8x, and he spotted down some players of Magnus trying to dish out some damage, and they're just taking the cover of that rock. But I think so they can get spotted down very easily by the players of Magnus because they are in the open and just taking that cover of that ridge.
Well, for now, that is the case. But as they make their push again away from that ridge, that is where they will be in a lot of trouble. But in that, we look at NES Avenger OP, and he was the one who was, of course, bringing in that third-party situation that resulted in StarX getting eliminated, and TUF have the upper advantage in that fight. But as they make that rotation, TUF is going to be in the open, and Magnus, we already knew the information, and NES is in a dominating spree because they've got the compound in their favor, they've got information left, right, and center, and they've got the sights as well to be able to bring in that annihilation.
True, and Snow from North Esports is using that AKM with a 6x scope, which is not a usual thing. We saw players mostly prefer that scope with the M416 because it's easy to control, and he's just trying to knock down some players with some one-time shots, and he is able to do that. Meanwhile, Avenger OP just takes some damage. He's on 50% HP, trying to heal him up, and now the 6th zone is going to close in after a few seconds, and 247, they are still on the edge of the zone.
Absolutely, where Magnus certainly knows where exactly 247 is. If they've got their crosshairs set up towards there, 247 needs to be making that rush and push in another 3-2-1, and there you go, another circle has been brought in, and that is going to force these teams to step out of that comfort zone of those compounds and get themselves out in the open. As they do so, Flex is in the back end, so NES could very well, even though they've got 6 kills for now, they could very well be in a contestation situation from the side of Flex. But move that conversation towards the side of 247. Seems like Magnus was not in control, and 247 have decided to well push on along. In that, Magnus has been able to knock 2 of those players, only 1 man remaining, but now since the information has been relayed, StarXOPS is not going to allow any of these teammates to be able to walk away, and doing that has resulted in, well, StarXOPS dominating 247, and 247 probably, yes, goes back into the lobby.
Yeah, goes back into the lobby, got eliminated on the 6th position with 3 kills. Meanwhile, Avenger OP spotted down 1 player of F4, but he could not able to connect a single shot. They're just hiding, taking cover of that ridge. F4 Destroyer, he also revealed his position. His position got compromised. Meanwhile, they're just also using that vehicles to make some extra cover, which is a nice choice. But we got 5 teams, 13 players are there, and NES North Esports are surviving with only 2 players, and TUF, they got only 1 player, which is Zarar.
Which certainly is going to be tough for the side of TUF, because again, as that circle is slowly and steadily getting closer and closer, TUF is going to be in a bit of a tricky situation. But Toru, we've seen him perform really well in these sort of situations, so he should be able to do so.
Yep.
But that is only if he does not use any smoke and slowly moves away from one rock to the other, and that's what we saw on to the left. But talk about F4, again, very strong team indeed, with all 4 members alive with 4 kills. They've got their crosshairs towards the side of Flex, and Flex needs to be moving in along. But as Khan took shots towards the side of Flex, he has also been spotted, and there are a few knocks coming in towards the side of him, and that is all thanks to NES. But Khan is determined. He is not going to let Flex run away with that. Blade goes down, and Flex is not looking good, as they have been resulted into just a 1-man army for now, and that too, well, goes down.
That too well goes down. Meanwhile, F4 Khan just confirmed 3 kills for himself as well as for his team. Meanwhile, Flex got eliminated on the 5th position. We are down to only 4 teams, and still the last player from TUF is still surviving, and F4, they are looking quite good, but still they are not inside the safe zone.
Well, for now, that is true, but they are a 4-man strong army, and NES, if at all this grenade goes in perfectly, it could bring in a knock, but no is the answer for that perfect aggression. But along with that, they have given the information away towards the side of F4. Now, F4, if they combine their efforts together, will probably be able to capitalize on the situation, and NES is going to be in a bit of a jiffy. But you talk about Magnus. Magnus still has that perfect support of that compound. That could work in their favor, and TUF Thor, well, he's being the snail that he needs to be.
Yeah, he's being the snail that he needs to be. Meanwhile, Magnus slowly and steadily moving inside the safe zone. F4 Zedan eliminated the whole team of North Esports, and now we are down to only 3 teams, and now it's the fight between these 2 teams, which is going to be F4 versus Magnus, because TUF, they got only 1 player alive in this war zone.
Absolutely, and that too is outside the circle, so he's only going to be going for that heal battle for himself. But Magnus, they have a very fine out approach that I'm absolutely loving, but they are in the open with no support of any smoke walls or anything. So if at all, Oreo right here with this early aggression gets knocked, there will be teammates that will take some time to come on towards him, whereas F4 has a very triangular approach towards this aggression, and F4 Destroyer goes down, all thanks to Wolverine on a flank and angle, and this is not looking good. This is not looking good for the side of F4.
I thought Thor is gonna eliminate the whole team, but unfortunately he got spotted down and got eliminated. Meanwhile, F4 Destroyer slowly and steadily bleeding out. He's surviving on 20% HP, and I think so the teammates could not able to give him a revive. Meanwhile, Adil just charging towards Zedan, and Destroyer Weekend just confirmed his skill, and now F4 down to only 3 players.
Exactly. So now the conversation has turned into a 4v3 situation where indeed Khan is going to get spotted out as well, and he needs to get away and walk away from that cover that he had off that wonderful tree. But in that, of course, he has not decided to do so. Of course, Molotov did bring in a little bit of damage, and as he pushed on along towards that cover, he was spotted and was brought down in terms of his damage and health as well. And F4 down to 2 player right now. This is not looking good because Magnus have the control. Oh, that was a perfect nade coming in from that side, and that has resulted in, of course, Magnus going down to 2-man strong as well. But eventually it is a GG for this wonderful team that definitely required it. I mean, that was just so very important for this team to get it, and that is of course going to be none other than Magnus Esports with 10 total kills, 2101 total damage, and 25 points walking away from the situation.
What a game it was, and the way F4 played is also amazing because Khan, he's giving a perfect, cover to his teammate, but unfortunately his position got compromised, and because of that, one molly just knocked him down.
Exactly, I love the approach from Magnus' side because they were just fanned out throughout the entirety of that circle, and that was working in their favor, so that even if they had to flank, all 4 players could do so, whereas F4 had a very triangular approach, which resulted in, of course, the first man getting knocked, Wolverine right behind him, Wolverine then getting on the dishing end, and eventually it was Magnus that was in control. But with that, let's also move on towards the most valuable player from this game, and that goes down towards F4.
And this is going to be, and it is going to be basically Khan. He got 4 kills, 608 damage. He dashed out. His survival time is 24 minutes, 48 seconds, and 94 healing done. And you know what? The way F4 Khan played is literally amazing because he got 4 kills for himself, and I'm still wondering how many kills the whole team got from Team F4.
It's from Team F4, indeed, that is so true, because I would want to know that as well. But talk about the top players from this game. I mean, this was, of course, that one man that was F4's side. But you talk about the top players, they, of course, are going to be so many more because we saw aggressions from so many players. And in that, of course, F4's player Khan is there, but Magnus's Skep as well as Weekend are not far behind.
Not far behind. Skep got only 1 kill with 877 damage. Weekend, he got 4 kills with 430 damage, and Snow deserved that 4th position because he got 2 kills with almost 600 damage.
Boy, oh boy, this was a good game. This certainly was a good game for so many of these teams. But again, we move that conversation towards the match ranking itself, where indeed we did see Magnus take a chicken dinner, but eventually it was just those kill points that has resulted them with 25 kills. But Team F4, talk about consistency. They are right behind them.
They are right behind them, and they got total 20 points. And total kills they got is 8, and Khan he has 50% of the kills because he got 4 kills, which is really insane. Meanwhile, TUF not that far behind. They secured 3rd position for themselves and got 16 total points.
Another good outing was Flex actually on 6th. They were just looking perfect, even though that late rotation for them did not pan out because they were out in the open and caught off guard. But eventually, the way that worked out for them was phenomenal. You talk about the Grounders, R3D, as well as Team Bablu. They were the early ones to get sent back in the lobby. Well, thanks to that placement that they got themselves when it came to that drop itself. When they talk about TG being separated, it was just not going to work in their favor, and that's exactly what happened.
Exactly what happened. But you know what? The approach from the side of Team Bablu, that passive approach, not helping them out because they were the first team got eliminated in this match.
True. With that, let's have a look at the damage histograph, where indeed we talk about the damage graph showcasing some wonderful plays, and in that we have a perfect domination from just select 2 teams, that is F4 and along with that, of course,
Magnus Esports. Meanwhile, TUF, they just, balanced their graph. They just out 741 damage with, meanwhile, they got 6 kills. But if we talk about North Esports, they're doing decent amount of damage, total 1553 damage, out of which they got only 6 kills.
absolutely. But again, as you move on towards the end of this damage graph,
Yep.
right? You're looking at Team Bablu. That was the first one to be sent back into the lobby, with not being able to capitalize on any of those situations whatsoever at all for themselves. But indeed, I mean, again, they have had a decent run in the previous game. They were able to showcase themselves to the 4th position when it came to the overall ranking.
Sure.
So that is, of course, going to be able to work in their favor. It's only day number 1.
It's
after all.
only day number 1. And I have one question. It was Edgar who eliminated the whole team of Team Bablu with that one grenade, I thought.
Yep.
That's why they got 3 kills in a very early stage, which means that Edgar, he is also doing great.
Absolutely. With that, of course, let's move on towards the open moments and find out when exactly did those early kills start happening, where indeed we saw Zarar bringing in that domination towards the side of 247, where we saw a 3v3 situation by the end of it. But eventually, Phoenix, it was a one-sided affair.
It was a one-sided affair because, Zarar started the fight, but 247 was the one who ended that fight. And this grenade just eliminated the whole team of Team Bablu. His grenade was so precise that Bablu got no chance to survive at that situation, basically.
Exactly. I mean, taking the cover of a car that has not exploded along with smoke is just not going to be able to fan out when you've got a grenade being thrown one after the other from the side of Edgar. But again, move the conversation towards the 4th circle itself. We saw NFP as well as Flex right here bring in some perfectly controlled aggression from Flex's side, but they were caught off guard as they just completed that fight. NFP and the other players were there to knock them down.
Yeah, were there to knock them down because that was a position when TUF got little bit, they got punished by the players of Stalwart. And yes, North Esports also using that height advantage into their favor. They spotted down some players very easily, trying to knock them down, and this one tap shot from the side of Snow is so insane.
Absolutely, just perfect on point aggression from NES, and that's why they had so much damage in this game.
Yep.
You talk about Magnus, they had the perfect compound working in their favor and were genuinely knocking down players throughout that final circle as we brought into that. But talk about F4's approach. They had in the previous game also all 4 members alive. In this game also, that has been their focus, to keep all 4 members alive.
Yeah, and the approach coming from the side of Thor was too good, but he was late because he got spotted down by the players of F4, and after this, Magnus Esports just, confirmed one chicken dinner for themselves in the regional finals day 1.
Absolutely. With that, let's move on to the overall ranking and find out if, of course, F4 is going to be able to sustain that. Well, they will. With 22 kills, 57 points, still taking a big lead compared to the 2nd position.
Team TUF is on the 2nd position with 45 points, and Magnus Esports is climbing up the all-over leaderboard. They got 3rd position, and Team Bablu, they slipped down on the 6th position with 22 total points. And 6th, 7th, and 8th, all the 3 teams, they got same number of total points.
Now on that 8th position, of course, is the Grounders. Now Grounders we need to talk about, because again, when you talk about those kills, that is the reason why they're there. They've got 10 kills, and that is of course going to be very crucial, because as you move on along, you can talk about Bablu as well. They've only got 4 kills, but that 18 placement points is the reason they are sitting on that 6th spot very comfortably. Just one good game from them, one good outing from Bablu, and they will be of course on top perhaps.
As you just mentioned, the kill department, look at the kills FreeStyle got. They got 19 kills and only 3 placement points. So by the looks of it, it shows that FreeStyle, the kill department is so strong, but they have to work on their placement points.
Exactly. I mean, they have to work towards those rotations. They have to work towards, finishing the game. Right now their main agenda is to just freestyle YOLO it through and through and bring in domination. Whatever we spot is going to be knocked, and that has been their gameplay thus far. But again, they need to be working towards getting those chicken dinners or getting themselves in the top 3, top 5 as the circle closes to an end. You talk about the entirety of the lobby though, it has been a phenomenal run. All the teams are bringing in perfectly controlled aggression and are bringing in knocks left, right and center. In that, of course, PUBG Esports is the only one that is a little shy today.
Yep, that is a little shy. And also Regicide, they're on the 2nd page of the leaderboard.
True.
They're not that good. As I expected, maybe they're going to get 22 or 23 points, but they're still got low total points.
Absolutely. With that, we're going to go on a very short break, after which it's going to be match number 4, the final game of the number 1 of regional finals. That, of course, is going to be on Erangel. Hello and welcome back once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open. This is the Pakistan Regional Finals that we're in, and indeed it is, of course, all thanks to Rena 5 Pro. But with that, it is day number 1. 3 games are already done. Move on to the final game, Phoenix.
Yep.
This is going to be a lot of domination through and through. Of course, it was F4 and H2E, as you had just mentioned. In the first game, that was just phenomenal on that Erangel map. Now, talking about the invited teams, what should we expect from them?
I think so. F4 just keep, right now, I think R3D, maybe they're just going to come into action.
Oh, yes.
And let's see how they're going to play in this map, Erangel, because this is the second Erangel of day 1.
Yep.
Teams, they know that from where the other team's going to do their rotation. If they're going to block them, if they're going to gatekeep for them, they are going to get, maybe they're going to get some easy kills for them.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, talk about teams that have showcased an improvement through and through itself. I do want to, of course, mention Flex.
True.
The way they've come online in that previous game was phenomenal to be able to see. Eventually, of course, when you talk about the map of Miramar, being caught out in the open is, of course, going to be your downfall, and that's exactly what happened with them. But being able to stay alive for that long and slowly and steadily take fights that are worth your while was just perfect play from them.
Same for TUA, because the last player surviving for the side of TUA was he was so determined that I just want to, I have to prone down. I don't want to give any sound clues to my opponents, otherwise I'm gonna lose that third position. But in the previous match we saw 2 to 3 teams. They're just going with a 3-man lineup, which is not good. Team Bablu, they got eliminated on the 16th position, which is not the that's not the way how you're going to end your third game, man.
Exactly. Again, I mean, I do want to find out and understand like why exactly did these teams end up, getting that. Because again, if Bablu at that moment would have had that fourth player would probably have been at the back end. Because that's what the normal approach is when you try and approach a compound. You do want to have a back end support, and that back end support would have been able to work in their favor to be able to, if nothing else, bring in a little bit of cover fire. But Edgar was out in the open on top of that roof, nobody to contest, and one grenade after the other, one lob after the other, and was able to, of course, annihilate the entire team of Bablu, which was sad to see. Because again, I mean, you do not want to see a team like Bablu go into the lobby in the first place itself.
Because they were playing too good. And I just want to point out for Team H2E, in the previous match they were doing late rotation, which is good, because sometimes this is not going to favor you. Because first of all, if you're looking for a particular compound, if it's already got contested, first of all you have to take fights.
True.
Then you can take that compound, or you can get eliminated there.
So true. Because again, you talk about H2E, the way they played Miramar, as they normally do as well, they take that certain drop location always for them. They always wait for that first circle to approach them, and then they bring in the rotation. This time around, they decided to go even more south towards the east side, and southeast is where they tried to bring in that rotation towards. And as soon as they tried to get into the circle, we already had PES over there. We had 2 more teams over there that would just not allow H2E to just walk away from them, where PES and other teams have been contesting for that for the past 3 to 4 minutes, right? I mean, why will they want to do that? Because H2E be like, all right, dude, find your own location.
We are going to stay here and stay that compound, hold that compound, and then we are going to get some kills. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But if we're talking about drop location, Zarar, they just changed their drop location in the Miramar map.
Yes.
And because of that, they got punished by 247. And if in Erangel, are they going to do the same thing, or they're going to do a different approach? They're going to go with a different approach. What do you think about that?
I mean, again, I do want to believe that they will probably want to go down towards the Sony region, but maybe not. Maybe they would want to go down towards a completely different spot. Because again, the conversation I did start this with Johnny when he was on the desk, that maybe today can be expected as a grace period day for all the teams to, start looking at, all right, so this was our drop location in the previous lobby. Now it's a different lobby. So perhaps we can start looking at, all right, which team ended up going towards that region. And today, after the stream is done, is when all those notebooks are going to come online, and they're going to be like, all right, dude, let's get on to this place and let's just start understanding what the other teams were doing from one map to the other, from one location to the other, and eventually perhaps the teams will get a better understanding, and from tomorrow onwards, all the teams you can expect to come online.
And maybe they're just going to go to their favorable position. And, this is the part of their mind games.
Right.
Because today, they're going to note that down. Then from which location, from where our opponents, got dropped down, and from where they're going to do their rotation from.
Exactly.
which side they prefer to stay inside the safe zone, right? If we talk about PES, they usually stay on the edge of the zone. If we talk about F4, they prefer in the center area of the safe zone.
Absolutely, always we've seen that from them. And again, I mean, you talk about Zarar's approach. The first game did not work in their favor.
True.
You move on down towards the Sanhok game. They were in control down towards that ruin early aggression that was brought on from them. So again, you talk about Zarar and Professor and all the likes. We know that they are very capable lads.
True.
It's just about, is this situation going to work in your favor? Is this dominating play going to work in your favor? Is this the perfect moment for you to start, retaliating and shooting? Or should you just get that information and back away from that? For which, you have to commend F4 because they do that beautifully. Magnus does that gracefully. Portly Sports, we've seen them do so, but this time around in the regional finals day 1, they have not been able to get that.
They have not been able to get that, and it's a little bit heartbreaking because we already saw they got the metal. They know how to play. They are very experienced,
True.
but somehow that passive approach is not helping them down. Just preferring some different strategy, which is not helping them that much as they expected.
Right.
But if we're talking about balance, just keeping the balance in the all-over leaderboard, just like you just mentioned, Team F4, they got decent amount of points as well as decent amount of kills. That's why they're on the top of the table. But if you look on the second page of the leaderboard, 247, they got really, really good kills. They got 14 kills, as well as FreeStyle. They got 17 kills.
Exactly.
But they got only 4 to 7 placement points, which is very, very low, man.
Which is, again, I mean, you talk about the balanced approach and then you move on to the imbalanced approach.
Yeah.
Is where you can, of course, bring in the conversation towards the 9th position holder being FreeStyle. That, all right, you are aggressive, you are dominating, you do end up bringing a lot of damage, you end up taking fights and end up converting those in your favor, but now start perhaps working towards getting some placement points as well. Because,
True.
I mean, 17 points, getting that, of course, you need a lot of skill from
True.
just kills. But if you would have gotten a placement point along with that, a decent placement point, you could have very well seen yourself in the top 5 position, right?
Yep.
And that's what these teams need to be working towards, because eventually only top 3 teams at the end of the 5-day regional finals, we're going to be looking at top 3 teams that will move on towards PMPL Season 3. Now that is going to be the main goal, or rather that's what I hope these teams have kept in mind, that is supposed to be the main goal. You want to be able to represent your region, you want to be able to represent your country, and for that you start from day number 1 itself.
Yeah, you have to start from day number
Yes.
1. Otherwise, if the gap between you and the top 3 teams, if it start increasing,
Exactly.
you're gonna have a huge amount of problem to close that down and then trying to secure that 3rd, 2nd, or 1st position.
So true, because Team F4 certainly seems to be working towards that, and if they do not end up getting a chicken dinner, they will certainly try and work towards the top 3 position. They will take fights when they feel very comfortable with, and be able to capitalize on those fights is only when they will be able to take those fights. Is only the decision that they make on taking those fights, and that is of course very, very important, because that perfect play, of course, from Team F4 has been working in their favor. With that, let's also have a look at the card, which is going to represent the team's performance throughout the day. And in that, of course, we talk about Wolverine with 6 kills, 1700 damage. You talk about Khan right here with 8 kills in the 3 games that he's played, 1175 damage and 2.67 KPM. Again, I mean, that is the kind of firepower this team is all across the board moving along with.
Yep, and if we talk about Zedan, he's also giving a perfect support to his team. He got 3 kills with 767 damage he dished out, which means he just helping his team in this situation, and he got stuck. If we talk about Destroyer, he got 5 kills with 1100 damage. But if we talk about the survival time, Wolverine got the highest survival time if you're going to compare with the other 3 teams.
Again, I mean, you can take that hypothetically as well. Wolverine being the one who will always be able to heal himself, he will always survive for the longest, no matter what it takes, no matter what situation he's
Survival for the fittest.
Absolutely. But indeed, I mean, the entire team has actually been showcasing a wonderful turn of events where you're looking at just Zayden, who is, of course, the support, coming in, bringing in decent amount of plays. But other than that, all 3 players are working as assaulters, and just wherever they see, they are bringing that domination, they are bringing that damage, and that is working in their favor. But now the conversation is, how exactly do they move on forth? Because they've created a small little lead from the 1st to the 2nd position. How much further are they going to be able to create at the end of day number 1?
I think so. They're going to go with the same approach. Just play a little bit slow.
Right.
Just do some loots. Just loot some individual compounds. so that you can collect some decent amount of loot, and which is going to help you a lot in the early stages of the match.
Exactly. I mean, eventually the connotation is all 16 teams. You have to play a comfortable game. You have to play your comfortable game so that you know that you are bringing your honesty to the table and not going, haphazard based on what teams you're playing against. Eventually, with that though, the final game map is on our screen, and in that we move on down towards, of course, a perfect division of the map.
Yep, the plain part is dividing the map into two equal halves, and if we talk about the plain part, is going towards the northern area of Severny, towards the southern side of the military base. And I think so we are going to witness a centralized first zone, because by the looks of the plain part, I think so the same thing is going to happen.
Absolutely,
I'm
and
that.
That is maybe going to be the case, but eventually, as we look on towards the drop coming in from these teams, Magnus taking an early exit from the plane and moving on down towards the Zaki region for now, or perhaps they're going to be crossing that shooting range and going to be going down towards the Zaki region, perhaps from the looks of it. You talk about Portal Esports, they are still moving on along and going to be moving southern part of that Pachinki area from the looks of it. As we move the conversation towards the northern side, you're looking at StarXOPS, who has gotten themselves acclimated to that Severny for the longest time. Talk about 247, going to be contesting the Yasnaya Polya region. Bablu on the exact opposite side, going towards Georgiapol, where again, I would love to see Magnus go against Bablu perhaps. That would be just beautiful to be able to see right off the bat. You talk about the southernmost part, where indeed you are looking at Flex along with Zarar, taking their drops towards the side of military base.
Towards the side of military base, and this is going to be really, really interesting, where they're maybe they're going to engage in some early fights, or Zarar, maybe this is going to go to near the area of Novo Repnoid, near the crates of the Novo Repnoid to do their loot, and this is going to be really, really decent approach from the side of Zarar. But look at the position of Tyrant. He's very far away from his teammates, and his teammates is dropping near the side of the ferry pier area, and which is already got contested by the players of TT.
Absolutely. Again, you talk about FreeStyle, we know that most of the times they go on down towards Quarry or towards the northern PMCO region, and that's what they are doing. They had one of their players drop early, and with that, PES Mom2, one of those aggressive stance for PES, is not looking good, as Wolverine, right off the bat, has been able to get a first blood and is going to confirm that kill. GG indeed.
GG indeed. And you know what? This is a very early start of the game, and they already got first kill for themselves. They right now FO just busy doing their rotation, and which is decent approach. And Not Esports just they got dropped near the area of school. Two players just busy in looting near the area of school apartments, and the other two players, I think so, they are in the school. And let's see, Amir, he got one DP with a level 3 bag, level 2 helmet, and level 1 kit. Okay, this is perfectly balanced.
It certainly is for now, but again, that is not going to pan out in your favor as the game progresses along. He will certainly want to work towards getting a level 2 or perhaps a level 3 kit altogether itself. But again, I mean, right now, it is really early in the region, and this is going to be R3D Joker that we earlier saw bringing in some wonderful plays for his team. And the grounders right here, KSF and the likes, finally, they are together as a team.
Yeah, finally, they are together as a team, which is going to help them a lot. But KSF, he's busy in looting, and he got one med kit with a Mini 14. He switched to M16, then again to Mini 14. Maybe he just want to collect some more 5.56 bullets, which is a nice thing. And, you know, I'm going to ask this question from you. Using Mini 14, using the marksman rifle on the Erangel map, is this going to a nice choice? Because we already saw players usually prefer those type of guns in Miramar map.
Well, again, I mean, it all comes down to your comfort, right? As we were talking about it, Phoenix, in the pre-game segment, that you need to play your comfort game. As you play your comfort game, you will be in control. But from the looks of it, the car is certainly not in their control, as the vehicle has jumped on top of those crates. And from the looks of it, perhaps even stuck, not entirely sure. But thankfully, they had a two-vehicle fanned-out approach. So they have another vehicle and their team members right behind them and will be able to support them.
Yeah, and maybe let's see what is going to happen. Meanwhile, Bablu, they were looting near the area of school buildings, and they're going to get some decent loot there. And usually they prefer the same location. I saw that in the previous PMCO. I casted the previous PMCO and usually prefer the same location. You're going to get some decent amount of loot. If we talk about 247, they got busy near the area of Yasnaya Poliana. But H2E, they're in the center of the zone. They're in the Pochinki area. Let's see if any team just decided to, go near the area of Pochinki and gonna engage in some fights with the players of H2E.
Absolutely, and right above them, we're looking at R3D making a rotation, a really interesting rotation where all three players are fanned out, all four players are fanned out, and slowly working on down towards the region right between Gatka Ruins and Pochinki for now, and that is going to be working in their favor because there is no team that is right now going to be contesting them. But as I say that, we're looking at FreeStyle Tyrant making his rotation towards that same region. Could we see an early fight over there between these teams? Only time will tell. For now, as we move on towards the eastern side of the map, you're looking at TUF, PES as well as R3G, very, very close towards each other, towards the farm area.
Yeah, towards the farm area, and maybe we are going to witness a very, very close fight between those three teams, basically. And only one player got eliminated, and we still have 63 players alive, and that one player is Mom too, and that's going to cost his team a lot because they're already down to only 3 players.
Exactly. I mean, Portal Esports, we were talking about in the pre-game segment that they need to be showcasing a bit more effort, a bit more resilience to the entirety of the lobby, but somehow along the lines they've not been able to do so, and that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about teamwork where North Esports Maxi, along with his teammate, is certainly bringing in that perfect synergy that is required to be able to share as you move on along from one region to the other. And right here, of course, seems like Maxi had a better loot, and so he decided to share. Why not?
Yeah, why not? But I think so. Why he decided to share his loot, because he has only a level 1 bag, which is not a good choice, which is not an ideal deal, man. You have to you have one level 2 bag so that you can collect some extra loot. But Abdul, he already got one level 3 bag with some level 2 helmet as well as level 2 vest.
Absolutely, and you were just talking about H2E holding down that Pochinki region. There seems to be no team that has contested for Pochinki as of now, and H2E is free to do whatever they want throughout this region, and that's going to work in their favor because there's just so much of loot spread all across this area that, of course, they will be very, very happy with. But when you talk about those aggressions, they are going to be wanting to dominate, because you talk about H2E's first game that was on Erangel, they were second with 7 kills. So perhaps that is what they want to recreate in this game, or perhaps even outdo themselves from that first game.
I think so. They're gonna, show the same performance in this map as well. Let's see what's going to happen. Only time will tell. Meanwhile, North Esports 2-player, all the 4 players just busy in their rotations, and let's see where they're gonna stop. And maybe if I think so, they're going to have some early fights. Meanwhile, every single team, they are doing their rotation except Magnus as well as F4, because they are still busy in their loot while they do.
Exactly, along with that Zarar as well towards the no deploy region, because that team we know ends up taking forever as they make that rotation. This time around though, H2E is in the center of the circle, so that is going to be perfectly set up for themselves. The only question is 247 seems to be coming in towards the Pochinki region as well, and we see all 4 players coming in from the school side of 247 with all of them having their own individual cars. Same goes for PES as well. Now as we move down towards the side of Pochinki, will they want to decide to stop there or not?
Yep, or not. Meanwhile, North Esports as well as R3D, Shaw, they're very close to each other. Shaw got one M4 with a red dot, and he has a level 2 kit. Yeah, level 2 kit basically. And let's see. He spotted, I think so, he know that there's some players in front of them, and his whole team, they're not that far behind, trying to dish out some damage. And Maxi already taken not that good amount of damage, but he is surviving on 60% HP right now.
Absolutely, and with that we see Snow right here from Northeast Sports looking towards the side of Joker and the likes, and of course wants to be able to convert those into some damage, into some fills. But R3G on the other side taking some knocks from F4, and that is not looking good, because as you look onto the map itself, this is working on towards the western side of the game, where indeed above farm region you're looking at F4 and R3G in a contestation as the rotations are coming in, as the circle is pushing them along. This is exactly where they're at, and this is going to be Destroyer going down, as he was all in the open all by himself. Zaydan and Wolverine are still making their way into the circle itself, which has turned R3G's perfect perfect controlled aggression into their favor, and Wolverine all by himself pushing on along from that open region is not going to be able to help his teammate, whereas on the other side for R3G, they certainly ought to be able to help Joker as well as Nocto and walk away from the situation, no problem at all.
No problem at all. Meanwhile, Wolverine, he don't want to take any fight. Meanwhile, he got spotted down, I think so. His Bucky got flipped, and okay, he was lucky because he survived that aggression coming from the side of Insane. But the bad thing is, he is the only man surviving for his team.
Exactly. They certainly have only one-man army that is going to be from F4 side. But on the other side, talk about R3G. They are in perfect control of this entire aggression that was, again, brought on from the side of F4.
Yeah. Because
not required. You are in the open. You making your rotation, not your entire team is in the circle as well, and you bring in an early aggression towards a team that already has the upper hill advantage. Why?
Why? The same question arises, man. That why you want to take fight? Because the blue zone is closing in. You're outside of the zone. You're busy doing some rotation, and your players just got knocked out again and again. And you know, Zedan, he was busy in just throwing some grenades, and because of that, he got spotted down, got knocked out, and because of that, he got finished as well. Meanwhile, NFP, they're very close to the player of FreeStyle. If we talk about this team, they're very, very aggressive. They're just known for their, they're known for their kill department. Meanwhile, R3D Shaw knocked out Bablu Dani, and maybe just trying to finish him off. But I think so, could not able to do that because he is very far away.
Well, GG's indeed. I mean, R3D were a few moments ago looking at the same compound, and we had North Esports set up in there.
True.
And now North Esports took a retaliation, or not a retaliation, took a back-end rotation, and Bablu is stuck there. What a turn of events. Shaw has got 2 knocks, and with that he's looking on to converting those knocks into a kill, and Bablu again stepping into the crosshairs that they never expected or predicted to be a part of that. And with that, of course, Shaw is going to be converting those perfect knocks into a timed aggression, and that push will probably retaliate. Not really. Not yet. Bablu is still keeping on that control.
Because Bablu is still keeping that control, reviving his teammate. And Joker, the perfect thing, first of all, you have to confirm that kill. And meanwhile, Wolf and as well as Zibian, they are not in a good position because Anubis just lobbing some grenades again and again and again, and this grenade maybe this not gonna connect because Zibian, he is inside the compound. Meanwhile, Anubis got a perfect chance, but Bablu Wolf knocked him down and gonna finish him instantly right now. Oh my god, this fight is going in a very, very different manner because this is now down to 3 versus 3 scenario.
Absolutely. This has certainly turned into a 3v3 situation where indeed it seemed like R3D would have had a perfect upper hand in this perfectly timed aggression and controlled push, but eventually Bablu did come together and were perfect in that retaliation where indeed you look at Bablu's approach, they have themselves fanned out, so does R3D actually. Joker, Shaw as well as Virus are completely all across the entirety of the compound, so if at all Bablu tries to take this retaliation with a fanned out approach, there will be Shaw who will be able to stop them in their tracks. On the other side, if Bablu tries to push on from the side of Wolf, Virus is going to be there with the perfect cover of that small little ridge, smoke as well as the vehicle. That is going to work in their favor. Now, the only conversation is if Bablu pushes on towards the center of the compound where Joker is all by himself, that could turn into a disaster for R3D.
Yeah, that could turn to disaster for R3D. But Joker is not inside the compound, so he's safe from that grenade. It's got lobbed out from the side of Bablu. But the main thing is the position of Shaw is very dangerous. Virus slowly, instantly moving towards Wolf. And meanwhile, North Esports, they're doing their rotations, which is not good for Bablu because they are outside of the compounds.
Indeed, exactly. But it seems like North Esports is not going to be wanting to stop there. Of course, Bablu saw that. That is, of course, going to be Zibian from Bablu's side, who has thrown a smoke to cover his back track as well as the front end, where indeed he's got the rid support, but for how long? Who's going to be wanting to make that early rotation? Who's going to be wanting to make that early push and use those utilities in your favor? Because as soon as you start utilizing the smoke, you are giving away information as well.
Meanwhile, Shaw, he down to only 30% HP. Zibian just going on his flank angle. His position got revealed, and Pikachu as well as Zibian just charging towards the players of Shaw. And he got spotted down and he got knocked as well. And in just few seconds, he'll get eliminated. Meanwhile, Wolf also got knocked down, and now it's down to a 2v2 fight between these two teams. But Virus also got knocked out in the retaliation fire.
Absolutely, the retaliation certainly has worked in favor, but eventually it is R3D who seem to be having an upper hand, even though the first knock came in from the side of Bablu, and they should have had the perfect control. And right here, this could very well turn into a perfect control, because Bablu, Pika is right here with 100% or 80% of his HP, whereas on the other side, when you talk about R3D, we only see that one-man army trying to push on alongside this push. But how exactly is this going to be converted? Because again, utility, exactly the point. You bring in those utilities on point, and that is where Pika could be in a little bit of trouble, or perhaps Joker as well.
Joker as well, because now it's a 1v1 situation for both the players. Joker slowly and steadily healing him up. He's down. He's on 75% HP, and if we talk about Pika, he's on 80% HP, lobbing some smoke grenades so that he can make some extra cover. Now, charging in towards the side of Joker. Meanwhile, TG also coming into action, knocked out NES Maxi, and R3D Joker eliminated Bablu on the 16th position. One more bad outing for Team Bablu. They got 3 kills, but they got eliminated on the 16th position. Meanwhile, Team 247 also want to join the party.
Well, this is just not working in favor of R3D, because they were the ones who wanted to retaliate. They were the ones who brought in that early aggression towards the side of NES and were not able to capitalize on the NES push, but moved on towards Bablu's side nonetheless. And now it is a 4v1 situation. Which side is he going to go? He, of course, does bring down a little bit of knock, so that damage will be going in his favor, but eventually the knock is going to get confirmed into a kill for the side of 247, and just like that, that entire team, or rather both the teams who are in the compound, have been sent back perhaps into the lobby for now.
And North Esports was quite lucky, because they were holding this compound and they don't want to take a fight. They ran away, and now they were still surviving in the lobby. Now we have 14 teams alive. R3G insane. He was the only man surviving for his team, and the good thing is he's inside the zone. But the bad thing is he's the only player surviving. Meanwhile, Thor spotted down 2 players of Grandels, but they just ran away.
Absolutely. For now, that is going to be the case for the Grounders, and the Grounders certainly seem to be able to convert that into a perfect situation for themselves. But on the other side, of course, you talk about TUF. Edgar has been knocked. They do see rotations coming in from the other side of the compound as well, and again, they would want to get that revival done, because having those 4 men is going to be working in their favor. And right here, R3G, the only man able to walk away from that compound. Insane turn of events indeed, but eventually, of course, right now, for him, it's going to be the placement points that will make the biggest difference, for which he is going to just take that snail space.
Just take that snail space. Meanwhile, H2E just having a fight with Zarar Esports, because Zigzag just got knocked out with the by H2E Hacker. Meanwhile, Magnus Esports he just stopped his UAZ at car. Oh my god, he knocked him down by the UAZ, but unfortunately he also got knocked down by Oreo, but Oreo also got knocked out. What is going on, man?
This is just perfect turn of events for the side of TUF indeed. I mean, Magnus was all out in the open. Of course, there was a car that was used to knock out that player of Magnus, but eventually, of course, TUF Edgar was all by himself. He had no cover, and of course, Oreo was the one who brought down Edgar, but indeed doing so, Oreo gave away his position, and TUF Thor retaliated along with, of course, his teammate Venom, and were eventually, of course, able to retaliate and slowly bring that aggression down in their favor. But now you move on towards North Esports and Zarar. This is North Esports Emmer, who is on the receiving end from the side of Zarar Professor. He is also not looking too good, but eventually that fight goes in favor of Zarar, and NES is back into the lobby. Take that conversation back onto the fight that we just noticed, where indeed it was a beautiful turn of events from the side of TUF and Magnus.
Yeah, TUF and Magnus. Meanwhile, Adil got knocked out, and the 2 players from TUF, which is ESP as well as Thor, just lobbing some grenades, and he's already bleeding out. Just let it be. Just don't waste your grenades, because you're gonna get that kill. Meanwhile, it's 2E. They got 1 kill for themselves, which is a good start. We already got 2 teams alive in the lobby. 38 players are there, and the 4th zone is closing in. Zarar Esports are looking very strong, because they got 4 kills and the 4 men are still alive.
Absolutely, and that is going to be very crucial for them to be able to survive. But along with that, there is smoke being utilized over there, and H2E, having had that upper hand, might be able to convert this into their favor. But alongside that, they also need to be keeping in mind the back end, the 6 o'clock, and that is going to be 247. That seems to be coming in along, and along with that, seems like TUF have been able to get that control of the fight, and leaving only Magnus all by himself. That is going to be Magnus Keps from the looks of it.
Yeah, by the looks of it, Skeps is the last man surviving for the team. Magnus, meanwhile, I think so. TUF, they're just charging in towards the last player, and NFP, they're very close to them, and I think so we are going to witness a 3rd party as well. Meanwhile, Team 247, they're charging towards the player of Flex. One player got knocked down, and I think so Messi just trying to convert that knock into a kill. Meanwhile, H2E Hacker just throwing some random grenade. Okay, he spotted down zigzags, but he's using that TP, but not a single shot got connected.
Absolutely, that is true. And again, I mean, just to confirm that previous alteration that we saw, it was between StarX and not Flex, but right here, H2E, they are in control. Of course, they've got that perfect mountain hill advantage going in their favor, but Zarar, they could very well convert this push for themselves as well if they take a back-ended approach and not push on for this fight. Because right now, they are getting annihilated from so many different situations, and we know for a fact when it comes to Zarar and their approach, they do not run away from a fight, and that is something that they need to re-strategize for, because now that 4-man army has been knocked down to a 2-man squad and 2 players are knocked.
Yeah, 2 players got knocked. Meanwhile, Team F4 got eliminated on the 11th position. Meanwhile, Theta of Zarar Esports got knocked out, and Flex Blade knocked out 2 players of TG. Zarar Professor healing him up, and after this, I think so, he's gonna revive his teammates, and after that, they're gonna take fight with the players of H2E and Blade. Just lobbing down some grenades with the side of TG, and but they're very, very far away. But the blue zone is also closing in.
Absolutely, and this is not looking good for the side of the grounders, even though this was supposed to be an outing that should have worked in their favor, because that is what is needed. Eventually, once again, the rotation that they brought in has not worked in their favor, and alongside that, you look at NFPSKY, that is Carter bringing in perfect control aggression for his team, but as they do so, they have given away information, and one of their players has already been knocked, and this is turning into quite a dominating lobby, where indeed TG is all by themselves. They do want to get into the circle, but Flex will not allow them to do so, and with that, it is a team that is Flex taking control of the grounders getting eliminated, sent back into the lobby, and now Flex is not yet done. They take that aggression on forth towards the side of NFP.
On NFP, meanwhile, Play Zone is also punishing some players. StarX players just got knocked down. Meanwhile, NFPSKY Kian spotted him down, and unfortunately, he knocked him down, but unfortunately, M4 just finished him, and NFP just take an exit on the 8th position, and which is not that good.
Which is not the kind of outing that they would have wanted, but indeed H2E, they were not only controlling that hill, they were controlling Zarar's players, they were controlling from that hill the other side of the entirety of the map as well, which is just phenomenal to be able to see H2E do. They were in the center of the circle as well, but now the circle has moved away from them. Talk about this TUF push. They are a 3-man army strong. They have smoke walls being set up for themselves, but to get into the circle, there are 3 teams. There are 3 teams right around them. FS having the upper hill advantage, Flex being on the lower end of that same exact hill for now.
Yep, and StarXOPS take an exit on 6th position. Meanwhile, Ati just, knocked out 1 player, and Thor also coming into action, knocked down Zetan. And right now, last player surviving for the FS is Respect, and Thor just throwing some mollies so that he can just slow down the aggression coming from the side of Respect.
Absolutely. Now, FreeStyle is going to want to get that revival done, but how exactly or when exactly is going to be the question, where indeed Respect has given away quite a lot of information, and Venom is going to be there to sting him, but he will exactly do the same, and with that, he's got a perfect control of this outing, and this team is moving along with 9 kills. H2E on the other side is still controlling the position of Zarar, not wanting, or rather, not helping them get away from that small little compound, and they are pretty much stuck in that. Not only is H2E working towards Zarar, but they also have the crosses towards TUF. They've got that audio queue and information.
Yep, and meanwhile, Ati just, oh my god, trying to dish out some damage towards Thor, but Thor, he was very, I thought he was very, very determined, but unfortunately, he got knocked out by Flex Blade, and now Zarar, they got stuck. They're just H2E. They just pin down the players of Zarar and not giving any space to, so that they can run away.
Exactly, and with that, Zarar Professor is the only man surviving for now, and he's got himself 7. Wow, that is perfect. So again, what we can expect from Professor is going to be just that heal battle working in his favor, as there is no way he's going to be able to retaliate against this push coming in from H2E's side, because they have that upper hill advantage. H2E also had the circle working in their favor, but now the circle seems to have gotten away from them, and it is Flex of all the teams. With all 4 men alive, this is going to be quite an outing for the side of course, H2E as well as Flex.
Yep, as well as Flex, but they're not that far away. Meanwhile, Hacker just confirmed that last player of Zarar Esports. Meanwhile, Venom trying to fight back, but okay, he knocked out one player, but they again got eliminated on the third position. Now it's time to down to only two teams, which is going to be Flex versus H2E. In H2E, M6, he got killed and one player got knocked out. Now the situation is 4 versus 2. Who's going to win the fight? I think so. Most probably Flex, because they got the manpower.
Absolutely. For now, they certainly do, but it's going to be all based on how exactly is this aggression going to be brought on from the side of Flex, and how exactly is the retaliation going to be seen from the side of H2E. H2E, we see, have not had a perfect control of that hill, and even though they've got the smoke wall being segregated all across, it is not working in their favor. One more player has been knocked. It is a 4v3 situation once again, but the only conversation is going to be Flex. They have a very fanned out approach towards the side. They have the circle in their favor. The only trouble for H2E is there is no circle working in their favor. There is no way they can run away or out of this position, and that is probably going to be the end of H2E, but not so early should we be to predict.
But the main thing is Flex, Uzim, he got M249. He can, eliminate all the three members of H2E, but the main thing is H2E just using that smoke grenade so that they can make some extra cover. Crypto he got one AUG just going for a flank angle so that he can knock down some players, and meanwhile Red taking a lot of damage and he's surviving on 10% HP.
That was just perfect communication from the side of Flex Crypto indeed, because again his teammate was the one who let him know that there is another team member who has moved on towards that tree, because as we saw, he was trying to flank towards that right side tree, but eventually that will not be helping the side of H2E. And with that, it is the 4-man army of Flex flexing into the lobby as was required from them, not having had a decent run in the previous 2 games. This last one was a decent one, but this one was just perfect annihilation with 10 kills in total, 25 points, and they have moved up in the overall ranking to 5th position.
To 5th position, which is really, really insane. A great match for Flex Esports, as well as Team H2E.
Yep.
They got 2nd position with a decent amount of kills.
True. I mean, you had just predicted that. You had just said that when we were trying to talk about, all right, what do you expect from H2E? You were like, the exact same position probably, and that's exactly where they're at with 2nd position and not getting that chicken dinner, so it's all your fault. but now, talking the conversation and breaking the conversation down, H2E were in control for the longest time of that hill. They not only brought fights towards the other teams, there was Zarar at one point in time, there was TUF at one point in time. Not only that, they were looking on to the other side of the hill as well. Beautiful play. With that, let's move on to the most valuable player and find out who is that going to be.
And it is going to be TUF Venom, who got 4 kills with almost 850. 846 damage he dashed out. His survival time is 22 minutes 7 seconds. 4 assists. That's really insane. And 539 healing done by himself.
Absolutely, that is really good play coming in from Venom indeed, as we saw him push on along. Even though he was at the lower end of that hill, that push that he was able to showcase was just beautiful on point. And with that, let's move on to the top players from this final game in the regional finals. And indeed, there has to be Venom in there.
Venom is on the 1st position, but Hacker deserved that position because he got 4 kills with he dished out almost 717 damage. Uzim, he got 4 kills with 484 damage, and Flex Blade is also there with only 2 kills, but look at the damage, 709, which is insane.
Absolutely, that was just wonderful turn of events indeed when it comes to the sports game of the day. And with that, of course, there's another thing to talk about, which is going to be, well, the match ranking itself. Because again, you talk about the way so many of these teams played, they were phenomenal through and through, and the kind of kills that were expected were spread out throughout the lobby.
But Team TUF, they again got the 3rd position, but with a decent amount of kills. They got 9 kills and they got total 19 points, which is equal to Team H2E. FreeStyle, they were not that far away. Now look at the kills of FreeStyle. They got only 1 kill. And in this map, they're just focusing on placement point, because as you just mentioned, and we just mentioned, they have to work on their placement point. They were like, okay, now we are going to work on their placement point. Now we are not going to work on, kill points.
Exactly. I mean, we saw FreeStyle getting caught in that tricky situation where it was just that one man who was able to just run away from that situation, and thankfully he was able to do so, thus resulting in getting that placement point. So had they all 4 been alive, they probably would have gone for that aggression.
But the main thing is, Team Bablu, they got 11th position because they got 3 kills, but they were the one who got eliminated on the 1st position. They got eliminated on the 16th position. But Grounders, they got 9th position with only 1 placement point. With 3 kills, they got total 4 points. But the thing is, North Esports and Portal Esports, they got 0 points. points.
True,
which is
true.
not good.
No kill working in their favor, no placement point working
True.
in their favor, and that is of course something that they will want to change tomorrow onwards, because starting tomorrow there will only be 4 more days remain, and
Yep.
after which only 3 teams, the top 3 teams, are going to be moving on along. But with that, let's also have a look at the damage graph, where indeed we saw a lot of damage being brought on and shunned away from a lot of these teams, but TUF taken the lead.
Taking the lead with only almost they dished out not that high amount of, because Flex they're very close to each other, but Team H2E they dished out 1611 damage, and FS 801 damage, but they can able to secure only 1 kill.
Absolutely, and that is true. Again, with that, this has been a decent outing for so many of these teams, because eventually, again, it is just NES and PES who were not able to get even a single kill. Apart from that, all the team in the lobby were able to get at least 1 kill. If not just that 1 kill, they were able to get that damage, and that is going to be important as well. But eventually, of course, you bring in the damage, you bring in those kills, you combine them two together with the placement points, is what the entirety of the effort should be, because that road is to reach the destination. Now it's going to be PMPL Season 3.
Yep, that is going to be PMBL Season 3, and Team TUF as well as Team F4, they are looking quite confident because they got top 3 position, but other teams like Team H2E as well as
Right.
Flex Esports, they are not that far away.
So true. With that, of course, let's also have a look at the Oppo moments themselves and this final game, where indeed we saw so many skirmishes right off the bat, were phenomenal to see. And right off the bat, of course, it was the side of F4 that we are looking at right here. That was not looking good, but move the conversation towards the same compound which NES was in. It was Bablu on the receiving end.
It was Bablu, but you know what? NES they were holding this compound. After that, Bablu came here. They had a fight with R3D. But what if North Esports take a fight with R3D? Maybe Bablu can able to get top 5 or top 6 position.
Perhaps, right? Perhaps that could have been the case, but eventually it was R3D that was brought down from the likes of 247, but eventually it was them deciding, R3D deciding to stick into that compound for the longest time.
Yeah, for the longest time. Meanwhile, this Uzim, his spray is so insane, marvelous to knock out the whole team. Meanwhile, Sky is just trying to fight back, but unfortunately he was in the open area and he got spotted down by the players of H2E.
Again, I mean, H2E was in control so many times through and through, and right here we saw TUF Venom, who was taking that fight against the side of FS and were able to knock them down one after the other and send them back into the lobby. Now talk about Zarar, they had a decent outing as well. They were able to bring NES down to their knees and send them into the lobby, but eventually it was H2E in control of that hill. But again, we move on towards the final circle. It was a completely different turn of events.
Yeah, because it was totally a different turn of events. But you know, H2E, they were taking a lot of fights. That is why they got punished. And you know, last player from TUF, Venom, he knocked down Hacker. Because of that, they're down to only 2 players.
True. With that, let's also have a look at the overall standings, where indeed 4 games are done for all these teams, and TUF in the lead with 64 points, and Team F4 right behind them with 24 kills and 60 points. H2E not that far behind actually.
Not that far behind basically, but if we talk about the difference between the second and the third position, we have 19 points difference, which is really insane, because if you got 1 chicken dinner, you got 15 points. But
Exactly.
Team H2E didn't got a chicken dinner, but still holding the 3rd position.
Absolutely, and that is what showcases that wonderful play from them. They've got that placement points, they've been working towards those kills, and that is phenomenal to see. R3D also very much along in that journey, so that the teams that at the end of the day 1 are looking really good to contest. But talk about Portal Esports not having a good outing, not having a good outing at all.
Not having a good outing at all. But if we talk about Team Bablu, the same thing happened for them, because they got slipped down from the first page of the leaderboard to the second page of the leaderboard on the 11th position, which is really you know, a bad outing for them.
True indeed. With that, let's have a look at the team card for Team TUF, where of course this was a phenomenal play from this team, and that is of course, wow, Edgar, Venom, 10 kills, beautiful.
Beautiful, and ESP as well as Thor just also helping their team, because Thor just got only 1 kill and he dished out 367 damage. But if you're gonna compare Thor with Venom, Venom got 10 kills with 1900 damage he dished out. It was really amazing. But the highest survival time thought who got the highest survival timing among all the other teammates.
Absolutely, that is true. But TUF, we know, is a very, very strong team, and indeed, having had a wonderful outing on day number 1, they will want to push on along with that sort of an approach throughout the next 4 days, because regional finals, all you're working towards is once again working towards the top 3 positions, and those top 3 positions are the ones that will be selected from the Pakistan region. With that, thank you so very much for tuning in. We come to an end of our stream for the day. We'll be back again tomorrow with the regional finals for PMCO. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.